9BF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM, AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Training camp eve in the sports bar. Anticipation is building. The Buffalo Bills are reporting to St. John Fisher University, and we are back in the sports bar. Glad you're with us. Thanks for listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the Fan Rochester, in the Odyssey app, in iHeartRadio, and also on TuneIn. You can watch the sports bar on our YouTube channel or on Twitch, where we stream live every afternoon from 3 until 6. At the Fan Rochester. I'm Danger. That's Battaglia.
And you got what you wanted.
Everybody happy?
No more complaints.
Who got deked out yesterday? Everybody.
Yeah.
Who gave the false report that it was going to be a white helmet with gray and silver? That's no longer a credible account.
That still may be the case because we still have yet to even get to the Nike alternate reveal. That'll be coming up here. But my gosh, I didn't expect not one but two throwback helmets to be introduced today.
This is the big news of the day, and we knew this was coming today before they start training camp officially tomorrow. It is the return of the red helmets for the Buffalo Bills. It'll be 1 week, week 18 against the Jets, which is I'm a little bit sad about that. It's like, well, we're going to watch Mitch Trubisky play in the red helmet.
Right. I mean, something's wrong if that means something.
Right.
The division should not come down to week 18 for Buffalo. If everyone's healthy, can we all nod? Yes, that shouldn't happen. So what would the Bills be playing for? Playoff seeding?
Yeah.
Number one seed? Okay,
I don't need to see
that.
Yeah, I don't want to see the Bills wear the red helmets and determine whether or not the Patriots are going to be picking first overall next, like we saw last season, right? Last regular season game, obviously, at Old Highmark Stadium before New Highmark opens up next season. And then we also got the news that the throwback jerseys and the white helmet with the Standing Buffalo logo returns week 6 on Monday Night Football against Atlanta. In Atlanta, and for week 11 against the Buccaneers.
So in Atlanta, they've already announced that they will bring back their red helmet for that throwback. And then the Buccaneers, I don't think that's one of their creamsicle games, unfortunately.
I don't think so.
Come to Buffalo.
That'll be okay, though. Yeah. So everybody got what they wanted. Everybody's excited. The red helmet is coming back, albeit for just one game, and a game that could be meaningless for the Buffalo Bills. We'll see. As they take on the Jets week 18 wearing the Jim Kelly-era Buffalo Bills red helmet for at least 1 week this season.
That's the good news today, Danger. I think it's good news. I think everybody can be happy about that and buy some merch and kind of reminisce about the good old days watching Buffalo Bills football. This story kicked up. I'm like, oh, here we go again. Report from Tom Pelissaro stating that James Cook will be at Fisher. I heard he was at a local establishment, by the way, today from a reliable source. I will not give that restaurant any credit. Though it remains to be seen, this is the report now, remains to be seen how much Cook will be involved. He is seeking a new contract. So what is this? Well, this is the agent just trying to twist and turn and put a little poke there toward Brandon Beane and the Buffalo Bills, calling up Tom Pelissaro basically before camp saying, I don't know, he could be holding in. James, you are the boss here. That's what I would say. Not your agent, okay? And just kind of remember that your agent doesn't mean to be doing this stuff.
I think James Cook is going to be fine with the Buffalo Bills, even if he holds in and what maybe people would perceive to be a distraction, I don't think is that much of a distraction. I think when it comes down to it, James Cook realizes that if he wants his money, which he says is very important to him, he's going to do what he has to do this preseason. He's going to do what he has to do this regular season. And I'm already reserved to the fact that he's not going to be in Buffalo. And I think Honestly, I think he's reserved to the fact that he's not going to be in Buffalo. I mean, if you want to believe that, everything that's out there, him putting his house on the market, he probably views himself as somebody that could go to another city, another organization, and Buffalo might not be for him. It's not for everybody. It's for us. We love it, but it's not for everybody, and it might not be for him.
It's either that or he's looking at the money Saquon got, and he is looking at Rousseau and Shakir and Benford and Bernard.
Yeah, sure.
They all got taken care of. Why didn't I get taken care of? Well, they all took a little less. And I think we've been up and down this argument, and I thought it was noteworthy, Danger, that, Brandon Beane's talking day one, 12:15. It'll be on One Bills Live tomorrow. And we'll replay it when we're out there, too, the highlights from it. I think Beane knew this was coming. Like, that's the question here. And for the record, Danger, like, if I had to put the over-under on James Cook carries in the preseason, I would put it at 0. I'm totally fine with him not being out there. Can you get yourself in football shape for the regular season without having to take contact during either the Fisher portion or the portion that's closed to the public in Orchard Park? I guess. But if you see James Cook in a baseball hat tomorrow, then that wouldn't surprise me at all.
It wouldn't surprise me. I'd be a little bit disappointed because I think, the player wants to be out there, wants to be participating, but has to do this as a form of business. But I think if he were to do that, if he were to hold in, I think it would be more of a message that I'd be surprised by, that he actually does want Buffalo to be the team to pay him. Because if he doesn't care, if he wants to be anywhere but Buffalo,
I'm not showing up to Buffalo.
Well, he's gonna go through this season like a regular season, and just know that, all right, I'm not gonna, that's a hostile move towards the Buffalo Bills. I think him holding in is him saying, you're gonna pay me or I'm gonna be a problem. When I don't think he really wants to be here long term. I think he's fine and reserved with the fact that after this season, I can go make hay somewhere else.
It's funny, like when you get older, you have a different perspective of time, right? Like for me, it's like, all right, from now to the end of the season, that's not a long time. Like really, it isn't. Like if I'm just making the argument, James Cook, go ball out, and if you want to leave, you're gone. The Bills are not going to tag you. This is not the organization that's going to hold you, see the Bengals or other teams, against your will, okay? You're here now because, well, this is the last year of your contract. But I'm sure James Cook, when you're younger, your perspective of time is a lot different. You're thinking, I got to get this now, where, hey, waiting 6 months isn't the worst thing that can happen. Just ball out, and
he's going to get his.
You're going to get yours.
He's going to get his. There's no question about it. I just don't think it's going to be Buffalo that blinks first.
Also, Danger. James, I would just make this argument where if you go to the Saints or the Panthers, they'll pay you, but will you be loved? You have an opportunity here. If you are with the team, or if you're on the team that breaks the glass ceiling in Western New York, you are forever loved.
Oh, for sure.
Just look up on the Wall of Fame.
You're immortal.
Thurman Thomas is endorsing Batavia Downs because he's loved. There was another running back that was loved for many years until he did something horrible. We love Fred Jackson, for crying out loud. Jackson was, a symbol of the drought. If you win a Super Bowl here, you will have just that love and local opportunities forever. But if that doesn't matter to you, well, and this isn't your thing, that's fine too.
Yeah. I think he wants his money, and he'll get his money. I just don't think it'll be in Buffalo. So I think if he wanted to pressure Buffalo, and if he wanted to make a stand that I want to stay in Buffalo, I think that's where the hold-in happens. I think if he shows up and he practices the way we think he would practice, the way he did at minicamp, he doesn't want to get fined. He doesn't want to lose more money. I think that's more a statement of, I'm ready to go this season. I'm going to have the season of my career that's going to lead to me getting the payday that I feel I deserve, albeit somewhere else.
Funny, last year, if you look up rookie rushing leaders amongst running backs, Bucky Irving, okay? Fantasy football, Bucky Irving, yes, Tampa, really great. Only one that went over 1,000 yards, Andrew. Everybody else, not much. Second was the kid from the Giants. Third was Ray Davis in Buffalo, who was not the lead back in Buffalo. James Cook, when he was a rookie, was not the lead back in Buffalo. So where I would say, hey, that's not great if James Cook isn't here, if this develops into a situation that's actually worse, Bills are just going to be fine with Ray Davis kind of waiting in the wings here.
I agree. Speaking of rookies, Buffalo Bills rookie defensive end Landon Jackson, who was put on the PUP list just a few days ago for reasons undisclosed, it was announced today that he has actually been activated from the PUP list. He'll be ready to go tomorrow as camp opens up. Some good news for the Buffalo Bills.
So in the 4 o'clock hour today, we are going to be joined by Chris Trapasso, who joins us from time to time in Danger. If you're fine with us, the way I want to have the conversation with Trapasso today is, yes, there's all this Bills news that is happening, but as we get a primer here for training camp, let's revisit the rookie class.
Yes.
Like Hawes, the tight end, Dorian Strong. We want to make ourselves more educated on, guys that we're going to be talking about. We want to make you, the Bills fan, more educated. And going deeper beyond that, which UDFAs, undrafted free agents, might actually kind of pop here. Let's go a little deeper. Excited to be joined by Chris Trapasso. Trap Sheet now. You can subscribe to it on Substack. You will be joined by Chris Trapasso, 4 o'clock hour.
And Matt Perino of the Syracuse Post-Standard, the Shout podcast, syracuse.com. You can read his work and hear his work there. Covering the Buffalo Bills, will be stopping by as he does every Tuesday afternoon, coming up here at 3:25. And he'll have answers to the questions everybody's asking today, including why the Bills have moved on from their punter competition. It's not going to be a competition after all. Jake Camarda has been cut. Brad Robbins, the lone punter on the 90-man roster for the Buffalo Bills.
How good a Bills fan are you, Brad Robbins? Who? Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Look, if you have an offense like Buffalo, you shouldn't really be concerning yourself that much with the punter, right?
You never want to punt.
No.
There was a period of time a couple of seasons ago where I remember vividly a fan in a post game. I want to say it was week 1 against the Rams, where it was a game. I want to say it was against the Rams, but it was a Bills fan holding up a phone, and the phone just said, "We don't punt." And at the time, I think it had been like a game and a half since the Bills had actually punted in a game. The offense was just on a roll.
Well, to me, the symbol, the big one of them of the drought era, Danger, this is before we went on the air, but there was a game where the Browns came in. You know what I'm talking about. And the final score, well, I'll tell you about Derek Anderson. Before he became the Bills quarterback, he was the quarterback for the Browns. Derek Anderson in this game went 2 of 17 for 23 yards and an interception. And Cleveland won the game 6-3. And the next year, the Buffalo Bills in their season ticket renewal campaign had a shot where the Bills are backed up to their end zone. It's a field-level thing, and it's Brian Moorman punting from his own end zone. And you see the scoreboard in the background, and the scoreboard was this new technology. They could just put your name in there. Mike Danger, we want you to renew. And it's like, wow, how tone-deaf are you? The worst game that Bills fans have ever seen, losing 6-3, losing where the opposing quarterback.
Highlighting the punter.
The
MVP.
Brian Moorman, for many, many years, was the guy they would trot out there. And great. Brian Moorman, great guy. Brian Borman, great punter. Brian Moorman, we remember for getting lit up by the late Sean Taylor.
Just exploded.
But that, to me, was like I said, we shouldn't be highlighting any punter if you're any good.
The wide receiver room got a couple of names added to it. Wide receiver David White, tight end Matt Sokol also signed to the 90-man roster. They'll be at Fisher. Wide receiver Kelly Akharaji. I'm saying his name wrong. Well, he was waived anyways. To round out all of the moves made by the Bills as they have their 90-man set for Fisher starting tomorrow.
Yeah, and the one thing I can guarantee that 90-man will kind of get up and down, and we'll and I don't know. You mentioned the Landon Jackson news, which okay, he's ready to go, but who else might be kind of ding? Well, like when we show up tomorrow, what's Joey Bosa like? That's number one on my list. We didn't see him in the spring. Is he good to go?
Yes. Well, we'll have all of the information for you from practice tomorrow, day one of Buffalo Bills training camp at St. John Fisher. Let us be your ears and eyes. If you're not able to get to a practice, if you're not able to get there, we'll we'll fill you all in on everything going on every day with the Buffalo Bills while they're in town here. Outside of Buffalo, outside of the Buffalo Bills in the NFL, there's a couple of other interesting notes. And we can start with Nyheim Hines, former Buffalo Bill, finding a new home with the Los Angeles Chargers, Gino.
Yeah. Anybody rooting against Nyheim Hines?
Can't.
I know. And the Chargers are one of those teams that, if you matched up against those guys in the divisional round with the style they play, no, I don't want that. I mean, but I think that Nyheim Hines, it was just really unfortunate accident. I understood the Bills' perspective, and I'm happy he's getting a second chance, and I'm pulling for him to make the Chargers.
We'll see if he sticks. He was with the Browns last year. He never came off the non-football injury list while he was in Cleveland. Hines now with the LA Chargers. And in Cincinnati, Trey Hendrickson posting a pic to his Instagram. He's not in Cincinnati for training camp. No, he's in Florida this morning, confirming to ESPN that he won't be joining the Bengals in Cincinnati with that contract dispute that is ongoing. Looking for a new deal. He's last season's sack leader and will be subject by the team now to daily fines of $50,000 for missing camp.
At some point, somebody's got to take a stand on that team, right? I mean, I guess Chase got his money and Higgins, for now, is getting his money, and so is Burrow. But
well, I think Hendrickson isn't going to get anywhere near what Watt or Garrett got. I don't think that the Bengals have the room to do that. So what are you looking at? You're looking at maybe Max Crosby money. And honestly, like, Hendrickson probably deserves Max Crosby money. So if you can get him somewhere in that ballpark, and the guarantees were, I think, the big hang-up here. I think the Bengals wanted to give him a guarantee for one season. Hendrickson is looking for more than one season worth of guarantees. So that standoff continues. Hendrickson not reporting to Bengals camp in Cincinnati. And once again, I think a good quarterback can be one hell of a deodorant for dysfunctional teams. And the Bengals still, without their first-round draft pick, without their best player on defense, they still feel a bit dysfunctional.
Just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome to join us anytime this afternoon at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326. The table is set. Chris Trapasso, the Trap Sheet on Substack. You hear him frequently on One Bills Live. Will be joining us at 4:25. And Matt Perino, talking Buffalo Bills, covering the team for the Syracuse Post-Standard. He'll be joining us here in just a couple few.
We learned about the red helmets first from Pete Goelli, the team president. He just kind of put out a picture of his dorm room. I guess he's staying in a dorm like everybody else there, Danger. And it's just kind of like, okay, here's my clothes here on the bed, and there's my duffel bag. And popping out of the duffel bag is a red helmet. I'm like, oh my gosh, this would be the best troll job of all time.
I feel like we got trolled. I feel like somebody gave somebody false information yesterday just to troll a fan base. And if you saw like the roll-up video, there was a lot of like screen grabs of updates on X and people being upset about it. Better be the red helmets. And like they got what they wanted. They got what they needed. And the roll-off video was great. It was everything that you would expect.
If you wanted to test leaks in your organization, it would be something like the color of the helmet, right? I'm sure there's other things that, hey, we're talking about a trade with this team, or negotiating that, or there's things that from a competitive standpoint, I'm just wondering how many times like an organization like the Bills might actually kind of run a little trial, like, okay, let's kind of put out a false story there and see where this kind of goes.
One Bills Live touched on this at the end of their show, and we just got this news here in the last hour or so. Not a sports-related story, but I think everybody knows who Ozzy Osbourne is. And, well, we lost a legend today, Ozzy Osbourne, passing away at the age of 76 after battling Parkinson's. I remember being a kid, and I wasn't really about Black Sabbath. I didn't know much about Black Sabbath, but I do remember like Bark at the Moon being like one of the first heavy metal albums that all the cool kids were listening to in my neighborhood. And, you hear the rumors, oh, this guy is crazy. He'll bite the head off of a bat on stage, and he's satanic and all this stuff. And I'm like, wow, maybe not my cup of tea, but Crazy Train is an anthem that will live forever. And I will also contend that No More Tears, the guitar solo, Zakk Wylde's guitar solo in No More Tears, to me is a top 5 guitar solo of all time. Some some great music. The soundtrack to my youth, and certainly influential for a whole genre of music and heavy metal. Ozzy Osbourne was a legend, and just a couple of weeks ago gave his farewell performance. 76
literally.
years old after battling Parkinson's. So we say rest in peace to the Prince of Darkness.
It's funny how, and this is, I guess, kind of an example for everybody. You can have a second act.
You can reinvent.
Yeah, like when the Osbournes came out, there's a whole generation, 2 generations, like didn't know anything. You and I, but like you're beyond us. Like, who is this guy? Who is this family? And he became this, instead of that crazy guy, he became this lovable kind of eccentric guy.
Yeah.
And we're peeking in. And,
Right. Well, Sharon was really calling the shots. I mean, that's I think we learned is that Sharon is calling the shots, and the Osbournes as a reality TV show introduced Ozzy to a whole new generation. And for all those of us that grew up with Ozzy, we're like, oh, he is just a real guy. He's just a dad trying to get by in his everyday life through his marriage and through his kids and through his art and his music. Sad news. 76 years old. Feels young, but when you consider the lifestyle that Ozzy led, 76 is a pretty good run.
Yeah, all these guys are passing, right?
That's right. Yeah. All right, we'll get to Matt Perino covering the Buffalo Bills for the Syracuse Post-Standard. We'll get a little preview of training camp. It all gets underway tomorrow at St. John Fisher University. Matt Perino joining us next on The Fan.
7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester. If your mornings are missing that sports kick, let Maggie and Perloff save the day. Listen to 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester weekday mornings. Because who needs more sleep when you can have sports excitement? The Fan, Rochester. Sports Update.
A report from Tom Pelissaro stating that James Cook will be at camp, though it remains to be seen how involved he'll be. Cook is seeking a new contract. We'll talk more with Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, coming up next. Many Bills fans pleased to learn that the Bills will be bringing back red alternate helmets. They'll be worn in the regular season finale at Highmark against the Jets Week 18. Chris Brown today on One Bills Live pointing out there's more.
And the AFL throwback uniforms are also making a return in the final season in Highmark Stadium. They will be worn Week 5 at Atlanta, Week 11 against Tampa Bay here at Highmark with the white standing red Buffalo helmets.
The Rochester Red Wings will have their alternate Coco Loco identities tonight. Scranton coming to town. The Yankees 0-5 in Toronto this season. Same two teams tonight north of the border. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader. The Fan, Rochester.
Neat or on the rocks? It's the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Tuesday afternoon means we talk to Matt Perino, talk some Buffalo Bills, covering the team for the Syracuse Post-Standard. You can hear him on the Shout podcast as well. Are you doing the dorms this year, Matt? Are you moved in? Are you getting settled? What's the game plan here with camp opening up tomorrow for you?
We will be in the dorms again. It's not training camp unless you're in the dorms. All right, like some of the folks that cover the team, they like to drive back and forth, kind of just treat it as an office. I say that is soft, okay? Just get in there, roll your sleeves up, get yourself a garbage plate. I'll watch you guys eat it. I'm not going to eat it. Let's not get crazy. But, experience the great city that is Rochester, New York.
Matt, we love that, and if you change your mind, we're up for it. I'm not going to guilt you or shame you into it, but you were a good trooper doing
We usually do a plate day with our friends from Bill Gray's. Yeah, we usually have Bill Gray's bring live plates one day.
I mean, I'm thinking that maybe, because I know Ryan's going to be coming up, maybe we plan a plate for Ryan, Matt. What do you think, bud?
That's it. That's what we need. That's what we need. We need him to eat it and me to watch him eat it.
Matt, we've got helmet news that Bills fans will be excited about. What do you make of this report from Tom Pelissaro? My read is that the agent is just trying to push things along. Like, where does this story go? Because to me, it's a storyline tomorrow, and I'm certainly going to be interested to hear what Brandon Beane has to say on the whole James Cook situation.
Yeah, I feel like it's not really an update, right? Like we knew that James Cook was going to come to training camp because he said he was going to a couple weeks ago when the Bills were wrapping up mini camp. I think that the assertion is that he's going to sit out. Like he also said that he was going to practice at training camp, so that would be a little bit of a departure, which I think would also make it a bigger story. My expectation is he ends up, showing up and being a part of the team and practicing and everything that goes along with that. If he doesn't, I think then that definitely ratchets this whole situation up a little bit, and we're going to get a front row seat of it because it's going to be probably all over Hard Knocks. So it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate this. But the thing is, Brandon Beane's not going to be bullied by any of these kinds of tactics. He's dealt with all these kinds of things in the past. Obviously, James Cook is on the record a couple weeks ago saying that his goal is to come here and try to win a Super Bowl this year. I think he probably knows that if this is his last season in Buffalo, there's no guarantee that the next stop in his journey is going to give him this kind of opportunity to do that. And so I think that there might be a little bit of, urgency to get everything going for this season and check two boxes. Number one, check the box of having the kind of season that'll get you paid on the other side of it. And then the other box of, go try to win while you can.
I feel like if there is a hold-in, that would be James Cook basically committing to the Buffalo Bills beyond this season. But I don't think he's done that. I don't think he really wants to do that. I think he wants to go where there's going to be more money available to him than what the Bills are willing to offer. Do you see that point of view? Do you see that perspective? And do you just anticipate that a hold-in where it's being reported that it still might be an option, it really isn't an option? He's going to be there and he's going to practice, and we take him for his word from minicamp?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe if they're closer than we think, right? Like the hold-in would be like, to me, from my perspective, like they're a couple million off, or maybe less than $1 million off, or maybe they're the guaranteed money he wants a little bit more, and like they just got to push it over the finish line, and maybe this is a tactic that he thinks. My sense is they're not that close, right? Like I'm not reporting anything here, but what I'm saying is I don't feel like they're close enough to where you can get back to the table here over the next couple of days, bring the agents to town and sit down and say, let's just figure this out. And if this is all that's holding us back, let's just move this thing close enough to where we can sign on it. I don't know if the two sides are close enough to do that. So that would be, from my perspective, the only point of a hold in is if you think like, Ayuk kind of pulled that last year, right? Like they were just not close enough on the little details, but also like, they needed to get something done. They were in a Super Bowl window, and I think they still wanted him to be a part of things long term. While I also think the Bills do, it's a little bit of a different commitment because of the position and what you'd have to pay him. And at that point, the 49ers hadn't paid Brock Purdy yet. So that wasn't really a part of the equation, whereas the Bills just gave another big monster extension to their quarterback.
We're talking to Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, the Shout podcast. And Matt, this is the first time since, minicamp wrapped up. We're going to see this team. When we last saw the Buffalo Bills, Joey Bosa, one of the offseason signings, is not kind of available. He's kind of a question mark. What other kind of injury question marks do we have entering camp? At least we know one thing is for certain, that Landon Jackson's going to be okay here to begin camp.
Yeah, I think I was told pretty early after that news broke last week that they expected him to be ready to go by the start of camp, and that materialized today. And that's huge because he is somebody that, like, maybe we're not talking enough about the at least early season role that Landon Jackson might have to play. Like if Javon Solomon, who right now is kind of DE4 on the depth chart, if he doesn't have a really good summer, maybe he has a good summer. Maybe Landon Jackson outperforms him. But, they're going to need somebody to hold down the fort until Michael Hoyt's ready to go. And if Landon Jackson was going to miss any kind of time, we saw what happened to Cole Bishop last year, and he was a second-round pick. And that really puts you at a disadvantage. I think the Maxwell Harrison thing is something to watch. Anytime you got a soft tissue injury that pops up in the spring, you want to monitor that. And if there's anything lingering, if anything pops up again, if he misses any kind of significant time in training camp, that's going to put him in a really tough spot to probably work his way out of what I would imagine would be third team or second team to start training camp. He was working his way up back in the spring, but it's a completely different situation now that we're to the point where the pads are going to come on in a few days. So Harrison to me is number one most interesting position battle, but also from an injury perspective, like how is that hamstring injury, and don't get injured again, because that'll put you really, really at a bad point.
Man, I want to go back to the interior of the defensive line and talk about what they might have there next to Ed Oliver. Daquan Jones at 34 feels like a liability against the run game. I know he's the vet. I know he's the incumbent, but the Bills invested heavily through the draft and free agency on this defensive line. So how do you think you see this all shaking out here through the course of camp? What are you watching for specifically on that interior of the defensive line?
I think the first thing I'm looking at is Dwayne Carter and where they're going to have him play and what they think, where they're positioning him for year two. Because the way that the draft went and the depth chart looks, like he almost has to be that one tech behind Daquan Jones, or maybe if he has the kind of summer that I think some maybe hope that he can have, maybe he ends up being the starting one tech and pushing Daquan into more of a supplemental backup role at this stage of his career. And I think at a smaller snap count, maybe he's the starter still, but maybe he doesn't play as many snaps as Carter. That's important because I think you want him to be able to stay healthy over the course of the season. He's older, and Carter is where's he going to be? The Ogunjobi was brought here to be a 3-tech. You have T.J. Sanders who's a 3, and then Ed Oliver who's a 3. I don't know if there's snaps available to Carter there. So can he win that job? Can he be the backup and maybe give Daquan Jones the kind of breathing room to not be able to feel like he's got to play the lion's share of the snaps? Because even last season, a year ago, that wasn't really a good spot for this defensive line, him playing that much. And I think Carter is younger. I don't know how much size he's put on, so that's something that we're going to have to look for over the course of training camp as well. And then where does Deion Walker fit into all of this? He could be a really intriguing piece for the Bills, but I don't know how much he's ready for from the jump. The injury was something that was at least concerning when they drafted him. He seemed to come through the spring pretty well. Where does he start? How much does he play? Can he work himself up the depth chart? And how much does he factor in is also another piece to the interior puzzle that's going to have to figure itself out.
Matt Perino, Shop Podcast, Syracuse Post-Standard. Matt will also be appearing in August. We'll tell you about that in a little bit here in the Flower City. Matt, jumping back to Maxwell Hairston, I agree with you. We're all eyes normally on the number one pick we're going to be looking at, but I'm really concerned about the corner position because, well, you have Christian Benford, and then, well, I don't want to automatically pencil in a rookie until he shows something. I'm a little concerned about Tre'Davious White. We're all taking a really optimistic approach. If White isn't the guy, if Harrison's not ready, what is there any other option on this team? Dane Jackson, another guy? Like, how thin, in your opinion, are the Bills at the corner position?
They're thin. I would have liked to see them. It feels like over the last couple of years, the Bills have gotten less and less comfortable with veterans that they don't have a full handle on entering those guys into the position battle at cornerback. I mean, Josh Norman kept hanging around, Levi Wallace before him, Dane Jackson was a guy in their program for a while. The current version of those guys is not Norman, but of Wallace and Dane Jackson, probably Jamarcus Ingram, who we don't really talk about, but there's a world we live in where he beats out both Tre'Davious White and Dane Jackson, and he's either the backup to Harrison or maybe even the starter. And again, what's the upside there? This is a guy that's been like a utility guy for them last season. He played the box safety role, and he could play in the slot, play in the boundary as well. So I don't know. It's a great question. It's like you got a lot of snaps played in this defense in Tre'Davious White and Dane Jackson, but there's a reason why they weren't on the roster anymore last year. Moving off of Dane, and he goes and signs, and maybe he gets a little bit overpaid in Carolina. He comes back here, and they love the guy. He's great in the locker room. He's going to give you a certain level of play if he's in the game, but they need a little bit maybe better than that. I think that's why they drafted Maxwell Hairston, and I think there's some pressure on him to be that guy, if not from the jump, at some point during this season. And you hope that Tre'Davious White has enough left in the tank and Dane Jackson can be good enough for a stretch to get you through that period. But I don't think that there's any confusion about the fact that this is Maxwell Hairston's job for the long term, and it's about getting him ready to play. I mentioned it. I don't know if it was on I've done a lot of stuff today, so I don't know where I said it, but I think that if you get to the start of the season and Maxwell Hairston is sitting behind Tre'Davious White, or even at the start of training camp, he's not on the first team and he gets to sit back when the first team's on the field and watch Tre'Davious White and watch Christian Benford, that's okay. But I think there's got to be a plan based on the failed experiment of Kaiir Elam in 2022 of what's our path to getting this guy on the field consistently as our starter opposite Benford, and what does that look like? You got to get to that sooner rather than later. I think that you can let him kind of sit and watch to start training camp, but you got to rev this thing up pretty quickly by probably the time you get to the joint practice. Which reminds me, I gotta make sure I booked all of that for Chicago. It's crazy. I booked almost everything when the mock schedule came out a couple of months ago now, but that's one thing that I didn't finalize, and I got to go make sure that I'm not crazy. Everything's expensive now.
So, Matt, I would classify this as a first world problem because not every team has an MVP behind center like the Bills do with Josh Allen. But it is going to be interesting to me, at least, to see who the backup is going into week one and whether or not Mitch Trubisky can fend off Mike White. We know that there's a little bit of a savings that could be had if Trubisky were to be moved or released, and White certainly a cheaper option. Are you paying any attention to that at all, or are you of the mindset of, hey, look, if we're talking about either of those guys, the season is lost, and what are we doing?
Can you say that part again? Sorry, you broke up a little bit.
I was just curious if you're paying attention to the backup quarterback battle between Trubisky and White, or are you just saying, you know what, if we're talking about either of those guys during the regular season, we're phoning it in anyways?
So I'm paying attention to it because I think it's very much a battle, right? Like that to start with. I think that figuring out who can give you the better chance if Josh Allen misses time, and I do subscribe to the theory that if he's out for 6 to 8 weeks, that's going to put the Bills in a spot where they might miss the playoffs. Like, I think and that's crazy to say because of how much I do believe in the roster overall, but it's just so important week to week. If you were to go 2-4 in that stretch, Josh Allen cures a lot of ills for this team at times, and especially with the way they built this thing on offense. But I do think it's interesting, and I do think that there's upside with Mike White. I don't think he's ever played in an offense with an offensive line as good as this one. And so I'd like to see what that looks like maybe, and maybe we'll get to see more of it in the preseason. I think we've seen the Mitch Trubisky experiment in Buffalo, right? Like in preseasons past. I'd like to see them maybe go with Mike White a little bit more, and maybe that's why they're positioning the battle to be more like White's ahead right now, and maybe as QB2. It felt like that, how they were running things in the spring. I think you do that because you want to see how he handles it, and you want to see more of him maybe with some starters or top backups when you get to some of these games in the preseason.
I don't want to take for granted 17 here, Matt, because what Josh Allen did last year, what do you do for an encore? And we live in a world where we're all expecting continuous improvement. Allen, what can he do to either match or even top what he did last year, Matt? Is there room for improvement?
That's a great question. I mean, he's doing all the things that you want to hear him do to try to improve. I mean, the fact that he still has his digital mapping guy that comes in to work on his mechanics 3 times during the off season shows you that he's still an unfinished product, that there's still tendencies in his game or fundamentally structured parts of his game that he's looking to perfect. And that's probably like the Tom Brady influence. I mean, I always felt like he did a lot of that, whether it be from a nutrition perspective or his training regimen. He's got that in him. It's ingrained in the way that he's built. He still has a chip on his shoulder.
Oh, no. I hate when that happens. All right, we just lost connection with Matt Perino. We will try and get him on to finish his thought there on what Josh Allen can do in 2025 to top his MVP performance in 2024, because he's rolling, and we have Bills training camp at St. John Fisher with players reporting today and practices getting underway tomorrow. So we want to get Matt back on to recap his thoughts there on Josh Allen and also finish up our conversation with Matt. You were saying about Josh Allen and improving on his MVP season. Sorry, Matt.
Sorry about that, guys. You know what happened? My phone died, and now I got my watch on, so I could still talk to you on my watch, I guess. So that's cool.
I like it.
So one of the things that I was talking about, and I was talking to nobody, by the way. So if you had a camera in my living room right now and you saw me talking to nobody because my phone died, it would have been interesting. But the Joe Brady factor to me is interesting. And I don't know how much Josh can necessarily – get better than what we saw last year, even the year before when I thought he might have been even better. But Joe Brady going into this year, this is truly the first offseason where I think we're going to learn the most about Brady, because this is his offense. This is his team now. When he was going into last year, Stephon Diggs was on his way out. And in that, I almost felt like Joe, who got thrust into the position with the Dorsey situation and then went into the next season and had to refigure the identity for this offense. And now with Diggs gone for a full year and then tweaking things a little bit by bringing in Palmer for Cooper. I think the Joe Brady effect of things and the creativity possibilities with him in this offense is what I'm most interested in watching, and how that potentially could affect Josh Allen's continued maturation, but like new elements to his game and the way the Bills attack in the passing game.
Yeah. Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard, Shout Podcast. It all starts tomorrow, Matt, and you have kind of a really cool event coming up in August, and we're certainly going to have time. We're going to talk to you between now and then, but you and Ryan setting up an appearance here in the Flower City.
Indeed, we will be there on August 7th to close things down at Dorado on Park Avenue. Wingnuts will come out for their pop-up again. I think they did somewhere around 2,000 chicken wings last year on the day that we came out there. So every year that we come, it feels like it gets bigger and better. We're so grateful to Dorado for being such a gracious host. It's a great time. Park Avenue is awesome. We had the speaker going last year, so you can hear us all the way down the street. It turns into just like one big live show. It's pretty cool. So we're excited to come back there and just to be around town and experience all the little parts of Rochester that I've come to know over the years. It's a great couple weeks.
Well, Matt, we're looking forward to giving you some fist bumps tomorrow when we see you at practice. Appreciate the time as always. We'll be checking out all the work at Syracuse.com and checking you out at Dorado on Park Ave here in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. See you then.
You got
Thanks,
it.
man.
There's Matt Perino from his Apple Watch in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Yeah, I mean, if the Apple Watch went, then, yeah, I guess that would be
I think once I've had to take a call on my watch, and nothing has made me feel like a bigger dork than talking into my Apple Watch to complete a phone call. Nerd! Never again.
I thought his answer about Allen is interesting. The answer really lies within Joe Brady. Think back to last year, some of the low points. Weren't too many in the regular season, but I'll point out one where the Bills got their doors blown off them in Baltimore. But, hey, for what it's worth, they were clawing their way back into the game, and then Joe Brady decides to call an ill-advised trick play. It was one of the few turnovers the Bills had last year. I don't know if creativity is the answer here. You've got 17. You don't need trick plays. You don't need any of that.
Yeah, I wonder how much of that is Brady and how much of that is McDermott telling Brady to simplify, to keep it simple, that you don't have. I mean, look, we shudder to think of what this offense could be if there was a little bit more creativity, but the plays that resonate with us are the plays that are kind of off script, impromptu. The touchdown against the Niners, right? The pass to Amari Cooper back to him. All of those plays feel like they were kind of unscripted, that they just happened because of the magic of Josh Allen. And maybe you don't need the trick plays. Maybe they just they're not trick plays. They're just magical plays that happen because he's that good with the ball in his hands.
No, if you win games and they're boring, not turning the ball over. That's what McDermott probably number one on the list there.
That's right. Oh, we knew that they're going to win the Ravens game in the playoffs when the Ravens started turning the ball over. It's okay, that's going to cost them, and it does. You lose a possession and you give one to Josh Allen, you're going to pay for it. Great conversation with Matt Perino, one of our favorites, and we'll be spending time with him and seeing him and talking to him over the course of the next few weeks at St. John Fisher for Buffalo Bills training camp.
Joe Brady, the next coach in Indianapolis? Where would you say he's coaching?
I still like New Orleans. If you subscribe to the Kellen Moore as a one and done, I know you think Saban would go back there.
Oh, they want somebody if the Saints are going to be that bad and in a good quarterback class, they should be able to recruit somebody with some cachet for that town.
By the way, why do we have to have the conversation about where Joe Brady's going to be head coach next year? Why can't we have the conversation about Joe Brady staying as the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills because he's just that damn good and that important to the organization? They're not going to let him go. Pay him.
They did that in Detroit with Ben Johnson until the opportunity came along that was just too good.
What is that opportunity? I guess we don't know unless we ask Joe Brady. And as he's the offensive coordinator of the Bills, he's not going to be talking about where he would want to be a head coach later in his career.
No, not at all.
But it feels like this is going to be an evergreen conversation. We've been having it every year, I feel like, since Daboll. Okay, where's he going? Okay, he's going to the Giants. Okay, where's Brady going? Brady's going where? Okay, well, we'll see.
I credit Brady, though. Saints, ooh. What? No, I'm going to have other opportunities here.
Yeah, no, that's smart. And, boy, a lot of it is going to hinge on him, his ability to put this offense in positions to score as many points as possible. 30 points a game last year. I mean, like, not bad. And an MVP quarterback at your disposal, so he's got all the weapons that he needs. All right, we'll get to Chris Trapasso, our buddy, Trap Sheet, Substack, and we'll talk a little bit about the rookie class coming into training camp and what he's going to be paying attention to throughout the course of the next few weeks at St. John Fisher University. Our buddy Chris Trapasso stops by in the sports bar just after 4:25. We've got a little bit of hot uniform talk, well, of course, around the Buffalo Bills, but there's some other uniform mishaps going on throughout the NFL that I wanted to lay out as well, yeah.
You think it's a mishap?
I think this is a misstep. I think this. I don't like this look at all.
Okay, I'm going to present a different look to you.
All right, we're going to get to that, and time for your calls as well at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326.
An Odyssey Sports Station. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
On this eve of training camp, some Bills news. Let's start with the fun stuff. The Buffalo Bills are bringing back the red alternate helmet. That'll be Week 18 against the Jets. Chris Brown with more.
The Bills will wear their red helmets for the Week 18 game against the Jets to celebrate the final regular season game at Highmark Stadium, allowing fans a chance to relive the nostalgia before Buffalo opens new Highmark Stadium next year. What a way to send it off with the red helmets.
Report from Tom Pelissero stating that James Cook will be there, although it remains to be seen how much he will actually play. The Rochester Red Wings will be the Coco Locos tonight as they take on Scranton. Luis Heel, last year's Rookie of the Year, he will start for Scranton tomorrow. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Talk more Buffalo Bills with Chris Trapasso. Our buddy stopping by at 425 here in the Sports Bar. We welcome you back in. Thanks for listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950, Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, YouTube. If you're watching the stream, we appreciate that. Our channel, The Fan Rochester, also streaming on Twitch at The Fan Rochester. And Gino, for as much excitement as there is around the red helmet returning for at least one game next season in Buffalo, there was another bit of uniform talk that came out across my feed, and when I saw it, I felt like I had to do my part as a uniformant to correct the New Orleans Saints, because these are not alternate gold jerseys as you're announcing that they are.
They are. They're calling them game day golds. Danger.
Those are not gold. Gold is the color of their helmet. Gold is the color of Notre Dame's helmet. Gold. If you believe gold is a color, then that is what gold is. It's that. It's not what these jerseys are. These are more of a khaki. These jerseys are, not a light khaki, a darker khaki. Saints helmet's gold. Packers and Steelers, that's yellow. These alternate jerseys for the Saints, not gold, khaki.
They are going to be worn with the alternate black helmet. So, like, when you think of the Saints helmet, the normal one, it's gold. Pops, right? It's an iconic
gold
look.
helmet with the black fleur-de-lis, yeah.
But then if you thought, okay, we're going to make a matching gold jersey. No, that's not what this is. It's almost like somebody left this jersey out in the sun for more than a year, and it just completely faded. Is that fair to say? It's like a pastel version of gold.
I mean, look, I will rock khaki and black often. It's a good combination. I'm not opposed to the khaki and black combo that they're working here. I'm opposed to them calling it gold. It's not gold, it's khaki. That's not a gold jersey. That is a khaki jersey. I don't know that you could pull off a gold jersey. Who's wearing a gold jersey anywhere?
I don't know. I don't think anybody.
Plenty of yellow, but I think it takes some skill, some artistry to actually have a gold jersey.
This is not gold.
It's
like
not
what
gold.
you said. Like it'll work, I think, because the accentuation is the black pants and the black helmet.
Yeah, I'm okay with black and khaki. Black and khaki is a good look. A lot of people wear it. I rock it frequently. I think it's a good color combination. But don't trick me into thinking that that's gold. My eyes tell me otherwise. That is khaki. You can't tell me anything different. There you go. There's your hot uniform talk. I don't know that I would even consider this hot uniform talk. It's misinformation.
They've worn these before, and I remember this game. It was against the Vikings, Week 15 of 2002.
Oh, wow.
32-31. I want to say Randy Moss did something late in that game, and what made this game unique, Danger, one of the rare games back then where you had color against color. You had the purple against the gold, what they call it, you would call it khaki. So this really isn't a new jersey. They've done this before.
Mm-hmm. But
they only wore it once.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe maybe they didn't want to dust it off. Well, they will be dusting it off, and we'll see what they look like wearing their khaki get-ups there in New Orleans with their gold helmet.
So if the Bills are going to bring back the red helmets Week 18 against the Jets, is this going to become the ticket to have? Because I would imagine that where you have always one guy coming back for the leading the charge, hey, everybody, there's Reuben Brown. You're bringing back anybody, right? Like that played a meaningful football snap in that stadium, right?
I would think so.
You got to do this right. You get only one shot at this, Buffalo.
Well, here's my first concern is you're bringing back the red helmet. That's great. But are you wearing the red helmet with your regular uniforms, your 2025 regular uniforms?
Yes, they are. It's not a throwback.
So it's not a throwback. It's just the red helmet. But does the red helmet, the vintage red helmet, go with the current version? Because as we've stated, there are different shades of blue that go with the Bills uniforms, right? The blue that they wore in the 90s isn't the same blue that they're wearing now.
Even the shade of red.
Yes.
Like the shade of red. Like when they wore those Navy monstrosities in the drought era, the reds didn't match. The red on the sleeves and everything didn't match the helmet. It's
Did you see, you remember a couple of years ago, the return of the red and blue, that Josh Allen came out with the red helmet.
Right.
And it didn't look right. It looked off. The red was not the same red.
That was the whole point.
Yes.
Right?
So I'm nervous. I'm glad everybody's excited about it, but I'm nervous. I don't know that it's going to look as sharp as I think it could look if they went with the full 90s throwback. They're not going to do that. If you're telling me they're not going to do that, it's just going to be the red helmet, then my hope is that it is uniform with what they have in 2025, that it looks good.
But they will have a throwback this year twice. And no, it's not the Super Bowl era. We're going to go back to the red standing Buffalo, but that's going to come with the throwback uniforms against the Falcons on the Monday night in October, and then the Buccaneer game at home in November.
I like the standing Buffalo helmets. I think those are fine. They're classy. Those work as well. They're clean. But keep an eye on that Week 18 game. If the red helmet doesn't somehow match their current uniform, I'm going to have a problem with that.
Red standing Buffalo helmet. Real quick. First Buffalo Bill you think of that wore those?
Juice?
Yeah.
It's got to be Uncle Juice, right?
You got it, Juice. When Chris and I broke up, the Juice was there for me every night. It's like he's not really the Juice anymore. We got to get you dressed, Juice. Juice, a will? Juice. Come on, Juice. Juice! Juice, it's AC. Juice! AC's here! Juice, I heard Juice. It's on every channel. You know I feel the same, Juice. You're gonna tell them yourself, Juice. Juice, your whole family's here, Juice. She's on the house phone waiting to talk to you, Juice. Juice. Okay, Juice? Okay, Juice, we're good to go. You're home, Juice. You know Uncle Juice, and your Uncle Juice is a good man. He's never gonna stop being the Juice. It could explain a lot, Juice. Just hear him out, Juice. He's right, Juice. Listen, Juice. Juice, this is your life. Juice, please, Juice. Juice, we need an answer.
Foolish listener. If you thought I was really going to retire every instance of David Schwimmer playing Robert Kardashian, uttering the word juice in The People versus O.J. Simpson, shame on you. I don't need an excuse to play it.
I forgot the one reason I wanted to tune into the ESPYs on last week. So every award show ever has had the, 3/4 of the way in. Before we get to the main awards, let's take a look back and remember who we lost.
Yes.
Did they do a memoriam at the ESPYs? I'm going to assume yes. And if so, this was the year where you lost OJ. If they're going to do Pete Rose, did they actually have OJ in Bill's gear running through and everybody, oh, yay, we lost OJ?
The standing Buffalo is much better. It's a much better visual of Juice than Juice as a wife murderer. That I will align Juice with the standing Buffalo more than I will align Juice with murdering his wife. And if you give me the opportunity to play every instance of David Schwimmer saying Juice as Robert Kardashian in The People versus O.J. Simpson, Gino, like Juice, I will take the ball and I will run with it.
Jack writing in juice. Yes. The people want that.
We do take requests.
It hasn't burned out amazingly. And you see me telegraphing this like a Ryan Leaf interception. You know exactly where I'm going to go with this. Going like, come on, Dieter, hit the button. Hit the button.
You got it. You got it, Juice. You got it, Juice. You know your Uncle Juice. Your Uncle Juice, he's a good man.
He's never going to stop being the juice.
Never going to stop being the juice. Juice! Juice, AC's here. Juice, we need an answer. Juice, Will? Juice. It's too good. It's too good. I can't watch Friends. My daughters both love watching Friends. I can't watch Friends. It's ruined. I'm completely ruined by his portrayal of Robert Kardashian. And every time I see him on Friends, I'm like, Juice.
You see it that way. I hear him doing that. That's like Ross playing.
You're
like,
right.
What are you doing? Definition of being typecast. Number 1 on the list, David Schwimmer.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to
challenge
that?
David Schwimmer is Robert Kardashian. Juice, Will? We need an answer, Juice.
Oh, then Ozzy, we lost today.
Oh, I know, man. I know. So I mentioned earlier how when I was a kid, I didn't really get into Black Sabbath, but I know all the cool kids that were older than me were all about Ozzy. They loved Bark at the Moon. And they, would talk about his antics, that's the guy that eats bats. He'll eat the head off a bat on stage. It's crazy. And I never really got into his music, but there was one song, and this song is an anthem, and it will always live in sports arenas and stadiums everywhere. And Crazy Train, for me, will always take me back to being a teenager playing hockey in Minnesota. And we're about to play, we're a small town, northern Minnesota. We're playing one of the Minneapolis suburbs in this tournament that's in central Minnesota. And we look at these guys, and they're just bigger, faster, more skilled. And we're just, we're the underdog ragtag group of misfits from northern Minnesota, right? Mm. And I don't know what it was, but we heard Ozzy coming out of the locker room, and they played Crazy Train. And man, I don't know what got into our team that day. We were all so fired up, and Ozzy was a part of it. Crazy Train was a part of it. I remember looking up to our coach as we were warming up, and I looked over to the other team, Anoka. I'm looking over to the other team, and I looked at our coach. I'm like, Coach, I think we got them today. I think we're going to get these guys. And he's like, I hope you're right. And we did. We got past them in the semifinals. We ended up winning the tournament in the finals, beating the host team. But Crazy Train coming out of the locker room was jet fuel for a group of 12, 13-year-old northern Minnesota boys. I'll always remember that moment. Remember that song. We connect moments with sports. Sports, defines a lot of the time that we have. I'll put music in there too, and we lose Ozzy. That's a tough one, but man, Crazy Train is immortal.
I'll give you another one. It's completely different. It's a little more recent, okay? Because just a few weeks ago, and I forget who it was, but some woman went up to do the seventh inning stretch at Wrigley.
Alex Cooper. We know about this. Is this the one that botched it?
Yeah, she botched it. Yeah, she got torched for it.
She's terrible.
I think, Ozzy botched his, but it was so lovable that, look up that one when he's singing this and he doesn't know. In the end, he's just like,
he's there with Sharon.
Hey! Yeah. He's just waving and totally, I don't know where his state of mind is at that point.
Right. He was there with Sharon, and Sharon was there. I mean, Sharon was calling the shots for a long, long time, right? Who knows? I mean, the idea, the most amazing thing about Ozzy's legacy is that he made it to 76. The dude made it to 76. Parkinson's got him. But what a legacy he has left behind, not just with his family, but of course with his music. I'll always say the guitar solo in No More Tears, Zakk Wylde's guitar solo in that song, top 5 guitar solo of all time for me. And Crazy Train will always mark time. Me as a teenager playing hockey and hearing that song coming out of the locker room just gave us another gear. We had another gear that afternoon, Gino. They didn't know what hit them. We absolutely took them out to take the championship when it was all said and done. So rest in peace to the Prince of Darkness. I know a lot of music fans are upset at that news. And he was just on stage a few weeks ago. His farewell performance, an unbelievable concert, and one hell of a tribute to send him off as well. So, so we bid farewell to the Prince of Darkness.
The Patriots are opening camp, right? They're already there.
I hear no limitations on Diggs.
No, he's good to go,
yes.
right? And I guess, Patriot media are just kind of used to being lulled to sleep by Belichick, and then last year was just an aberration. You're in a different culture now. It's Mike Vrabel, and Mike Vrabel wants you to pay attention. And this happens every camp, right, where the coach gets up to the podium, and then he's asked the same question, and he's got to be polite about it. Vrabel was not having any of this, okay? Asked the same question. Quote, whether you were in a coma when I answered Tom's question or typing on your phone or tweeting, I don't know. But I spent 5 minutes answering that question. This is day one of camp.
Oh, it's so great.
You know what? I love it.
I'm so glad it's back. I mean, you got the Cowboys breaking out into a fight like 20 minutes into their first practice. You got Vrabel putting reporters in their place after the first practice at training camp. It's so great. We don't have a lot of those kind of fireworks with McDermott and the Bills media. It'll be chummy and friendly. More so like within the Bills media, we'll have some fireworks. There's always a little bit of behind the back talk, and what is that question? The guys get a little bit testy covering the Bills.
You and I just kind of grab our popcorn.
Yeah, I like to watch.
Whatever.
I like the whole experience. I just like to sit back and watch the fireworks. It's a good time. We can't wait for it. Can't wait to be your ears and eyes at St. John Fisher University starting tomorrow. Practice tomorrow morning. I imagine we hear from Sean McDermott in the morning and then Brandon Beane after practice.
Brandon Beane, 12:15. Sean McDermott, 9:15 if we're on time.
Mm-hmm.
But with McDermott, be there at 9, and he may go at 9:30. You're on Sean
might
time.
Be early, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I would imagine if practice is scheduled for 9:45 on Thursday, given the heat that's expected, do you bump it up a little bit?
You should.
They've been known to do that, right? Like McDermott will go a little bit earlier.
Everybody get up in the morning. And you know what? That's a good thing. Like, everybody's used to routine. Let's kind of throw the routine off here and see how you guys respond here.
Yeah. Other news for the Bills today beyond the return of the red helmet for Week 18 and the standing Buffalo logo for Week 6 and Week 11. Landon Jackson, rookie defensive end, will be okay for camp starting tomorrow. He was placed on the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list, just a few days ago. More like a paper move, it looks like, because they've activated him from the list. He's ready to go as camp opens up tomorrow. And there will be no punting competition, at least early in camp, as Jake Camarda has been released by the team. Brad Robbins, the only punter currently on the 90-man roster.
We were joined earlier by Matt Perino, and talking about Landon Jackson, he's pointing out there's another injury. Like, when we last saw Maxwell Harrison, the first-round pick, he had some sort of soft tissue thing. Now, maybe it's absolutely nothing, but can you imagine if it's something? So that's why we're all going to be paying attention to McDermott. Okay, to start camp, who's healthy?
Are we healthy?
Are we healthy?
Yeah, we know that throughout the course of camp there will be some dings, some bumps, some bruises, but let's know that going into camp, we're good to go. Everybody's healthy. That would be great news tomorrow if you don't see Bosa or Hairston off to the side working with trainers on day one of training camp. It'd be great to have them all out there practicing and getting the reps in before the pads come on here in a few days. So we'll check in with Chris Trapasso, the Trap Sheet on Substack, where you can get Trapasso's work. Friend of the show, and you hear him frequently on One Bills Live. We'll talk about the Bills rookie class coming in. We'll talk about what he's looking forward to watching here as the Bills head to camp, St. John Fisher University, starting tomorrow. Our buddy Chris Trapasso next on The Fan.
You're listening to Rochester Sports Update.
Report from Tom Pelissero stating that James Cook will be at camp, though it remains to see how involved he'll be. Cook is seeking a new contract. Many Bills fans pleased to learn the Bills are going to bring back red alternate helmets. They'll be worn in the final regular season game at Highmark. Chris Brown, the voice of the Bills, also pointing out there's more.
And the AFL throwback uniforms are also making a return in the final season in Highmark Stadium. They will be worn Week 5 at Atlanta, Week 11 against Tampa Bay here at Highmark with the white standing red Buffalo helmets.
Yes, the Buffalo helmets will be those two games coming up in the fall. The Rochester Red Wings have their alternate Coco Loco identities tonight. Scranton coming to town. Yankees 0-5 so far in Toronto this season. Same two teams tonight north of the border. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader. The Fan, Rochester.
Pull up a stool and join us. 585-866-4FAN. 866-4326. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
We invite you to check out the Trap Sheet on Substack. That's the work of our buddy Chris Trapasso, who's good with his time to join us here in the Sports Bar on the eve of Buffalo Bills training camp at St. John Fisher University. Chris, great to have you on with us. And because we know you look at these rookies under the jeweler's eye, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this rookie class for the Buffalo Bills entering the training camp, their first as professionals.
Well, first off, Danger, thanks for having me back on. Thanks for the plug of my new Substack Trap Sheet. I'm going to try to do analysis and opinion that's not found anywhere else on the internet, not just for the Bills, but for the entire NFL. And yes, I can definitely fill an entire segment about my thoughts on this Buffalo Bills draft class on the eve of training camp.
So in Harrison being the guy, and we'll get to him, but you've got these rookie pass rushers, and the news today, Landon Jackson's going to be okay to start camp. Deion Walker, bigger frame there. You've got T.J. Sanders who came to terms last week. Chris, which of these guys do you think, or maybe all of them, might have an impact on the defensive line this season?
I think T.J. Sanders is going to be the headliner. I think he was as ready to go as any of the other premier defensive tackles in this draft class. I mean, back-to-back seasons at South Carolina of high-level production that comes from sacks, from pressures, even against the run, like stacking and shedding, chasing from the backside, making routine plays at the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage. That's what he did in the best conference in college football over the last 2 years, and then he tested like an elite level athlete at the combine. So he was a first round grade for me, or just outside of the first round. I had him graded at 34 overall. The Bills got him at 41, made that aggressive ascension. I think he is exactly what this defensive line needed, and I think he has room to become like not just a solid rotational piece and a good player that brings pretty good dividends in year one. I think by year 2 and year 3 and year 4, we can be talking about one of the better interior pass rushers in the NFL. In terms of Landon Jackson, I think he is a little bit of a longer-term project, but I was just talking about potential with Sanders. I think with Jackson, the reason that the Bills picked him in round 3 when they did was because he probably wouldn't have lasted into round 4 because there is so much upside. He has super long arms. He started at LSU, transferred to Arkansas, and has just all the traits that you want out of a defensive end. He's the bigger body that the Bills seemingly like at that position. And you saw him get better and use his hands a little bit more. And then to me, Deion Walker is just the ultimate X factor, not even just talking defensive line, the ultimate X factor from this Bills draft class. We could be talking about him as a healthy scratch halfway through the season, or he could be a dominant player because in 2023 at Kentucky, he looked like he was trending toward being the next Dexter Lawrence. He is that big and moves that well when he is healthy, unlike someone that is, 6'7" and 345 pounds.
Chris, where does that leave Dwayne Carter in his second year with the Bills?
I think he's in a really tough spot. I mean, I think starting tomorrow at St. John Fisher, he needs to have a really strong camp.
he needs to make some splash plays in the preseason. And for as much as I think this is kind of where it can factor into when you're selected, the fact that he was a third-round pick just last year probably helps him a lot, because otherwise I think he would have a hard time making this roster. And we saw, early on last season, he was that healthy scratch. Then he started to make some plays. Then he had the hand or the wrist injury, and he kind of disappeared down the stretch. But he was like playing meaningful snaps in the playoffs and in the AFC Championship game. I don't have a ton of confidence in him being able to beat out some of the other younger rookies on this roster, some of the other pieces. I think he has to be really good. And then you have Larry Ogunjobi coming back after 6 weeks. Michael Hoyt can play inside, outside. I think the Bills need to see a big step from him. Maybe not for their entire defense, but if he doesn't make that big step, I think we could be looking back and saying, man, that was not that good of a pick from the Bills just 2 years ago.
We're talking to Chris Trapasso. You can check it out, the Trap Sheet on Substack, as he is our guest here in the Sports Bar. Chris, one position that I'm a little concerned about for the Bills from a depth perspective is the corner position. Like, okay, we've got a rookie there, first-round pick, Maxwell Harrison, but maybe he won't be ready to go. Tre'Davious White, Dane Jackson, two veterans that – all right, well, you really can't be counting on. So looking beyond that, what are your thoughts on Dorian Strong as a prospect? Saw a lot of time in college. Is he ready to go? Where do you think he is at entering camp here, Chris?
It's really good to bring him up, because I think it's also very sensible to think like, hey, maybe this cornerback room is not very deep beyond Christian Benford, who gets the big contract in the offseason. You are relying on a first-rounder that was injured last season, and then Dane Jackson, Trey White, like you mentioned, that are older players. Trey White now into his 30s, obviously has dealt with a lot of injuries. Dorian Strong is kind of at the polar end stylistically from what the Bills got with Maxwell Hairston. That Hairston, 4.28 speed, 5 picks in 2023 when he was healthy, ultra twitchy, raises the floor, of the cornerback room, and has an immense ceiling. Dorian Strong reminds me of a Dane Jackson or a Levi Wallace, where he is just a zone prominent corner that made so many plays on the football at Virginia Tech, watching the quarterback, planting, driving on the ball, instincts through the roof. I thought in round 6 that was such a smart selection, because like you mentioned, they went into this draft in April with that being probably one of the biggest rooms that needed to add depth to it. So I think Dorian Strong, don't be surprised if – I don't want to say that he's going to be the next Christian Benford and in 3 years he's going to sign a monster contract, but I do not think that Dorian Strong is just a throwaway, late round day 3 pick who is going to have a hard time making this team because of the makeup of the cornerback room, and with his, at least on paper, fit with his style of play and Sean McDermott's zone-based defense. And even with Bobby Babich, we saw a lot of zone as well last year. Now maybe Ryan Nielsen, the new assistant on the defensive staff, adds some more man coverage to it. But I think Dorian Strong has the skill set and, like you mentioned, the experience to hit the ground running in this Bills scheme this year.
Chris, can he play nickel? Because I'm curious about what backs up Taron Johnson going into this year. Is it another dose of Cam Lewis? What about Corey Couch? I mean, what do you think the plan is here? And Johnson has, for the majority of his career, been healthy, but we've seen some bumps and bruises here the last couple of years as he continues to age.
Well, yeah, last year, obviously in that AFC title game, I actually talked to a Bills source that I have at the Combine, and he told me that Taron Johnson could not raise his right arm past eye level. He could not reach up in that AFC title game. He could not get his arm above his head to tip a pass if he needed to. So he really gutted it out. He's been, like you said, durable, but there have been some bumps and bruises along the road. Dorian Strong is around 6 foot, around 200 pounds. He's not going to play in the slot, but Jordan Hancock was maybe my second favorite pick that the Bills made in this 2025 draft, because he played safety at Ohio State. He played corner at Ohio State. He is your Taron Johnson. I mean, I don't want to say that he's going to be written in Sharpie as the backup, but I think after scouting him, how well he tested at Ohio State, I think you're going to see even by October or November, beyond Cam Lewis, the Bills will have pretty good depth beyond Taron Johnson because Hancock has kind of a similar game to Dorian Strong in that 4 years of production, played in a very pro-ready or a pro-style scheme at Ohio State, and was just a really good football player. Was all around the football against the run, on outside play screens to wide receivers, and can play some safety and in the slot. So I think outside of Cam Lewis, the fifth rounder Jordan Hancock has kind of an inside track to being Taron Johnson's primary backup.
Chris Trapasso, our guest here in the Sports Bar, as it wasn't all defense. It just kind of felt like that. What about this tight end from Bowling Green, Jackson Hawes, Chris? He brings a skill set that doesn't seem to, these other two tight ends, certainly, like as far as a blocker, but does Hawes maybe take the spot, say, of a Reggie Gilliam? How do you see him competing in this camp, and what kind of timeline do you think, in this Bills offense for a tight end, will it take here for Hawes to have a more meaningful impact?
So he was kind of an enigma because when he started his college career at Yale, he did make some plays at wide receiver. Like he was able to stretch defenses vertically down the seam. We saw him create after the catch. And then when he transferred to Georgia Tech, they had him bulk up a little bit, and they didn't really throw him the football. He was not part of the offense. He was fourth or fifth or sixth in the progression at times, it seemed like. But when he did get the football, he did make some plays. So I think comparing him more to the H-back, fullback role is actually a smart way to kind of frame where he could ultimately fit into this roster. I don't think he's going to even threaten for tight end 3, but if you're talking about someone that needs to be a good blocker that can start in the backfield, can play kind of that old school fullback role, leak out into the flat, catch a pass, make a guy miss, turn a pass that's thrown 2 yards beyond the line of scrimmage and turn it into an 8-yard gain, and then block decently well, like we've seen Reggie Gilliam do. That's what I think he can bring to this offense, or at least provide some legitimate competition for Reggie Gilliam, who hasn't really had any outside of Quentin Morris the last 3 or 4 years.
Chris, ESPN put out their list of the best starting Week 1 rosters in the NFL, and they put the Bills at number 4. But they also mentioned that the weak link on this roster might be the position group at safety. I wanted to get your take on safety going into this season with Taylor Rapp, with Cole Bishop looking to take that next step up. Where does DeMar Hamlin fit into everything? What's your take on the safety positions for the back end of Sean McDermott's defense?
Yeah, Gene said it earlier that corner, you kind of have some concerns there. Safety would be the other position. What I would say, though, is that for as much as, of course, the Bills were trying to draft those positions and they're trying to improve, and you'll hear that from Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane, it is good to remember that McDermott and Beane and the rest of the coaching staff and the front office, they've gotten some great production out of some at least perceived to be lesser defensive backs during this entire Sean McDermott era with the Dane Jacksons and the Levi Wallaces. And we all have to remember that Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde were not big name free agent signings when they were brought to Buffalo, and they got immense production out of those two. The safety spot is a little bit of a weak position. I think Derek Forrest, who was kind of a under the radar Jordan Poyer-esque signing in mid-March, who 2 years ago in Washington with the Commanders was thrust into a full-time role, had a couple of picks, had like over 80 tackles, and I loved him coming out of Cincinnati. He was on the same secondary as Sauce Gardner, and those Cincinnati Bearcat teams that were really good, and I believe they either beat Georgia or they were right there with Georgia in the Sugar Bowl just a few years ago. It was Sauce Gardner and Derek Forrest were the two clear-cut superstars on that defense that year. So he's someone that's very instinctive and I think can play that free safety role very well. Beyond that, I think Cole Bishop needs to be more of an in-the-box player. That's kind of where he thrived at Utah. And for as much as I'm down on Keon Coleman, I told you I was a little bit down on Dwayne Carter, 2 of the other 3 first picks that the Bills made last year, I'm not as concerned about Bishop. I think for what he did in college, how much was asked of him, and how well he produced at Utah, the fact that he's 6'2", over 200 pounds, ran 4.45, jumped 38 inches. He's a big-time athlete who actually is a pretty big body. I think he will be able in year 2, hopefully if he doesn't get injured like he did last season early in camp, can really start to learn the ropes of this Bobby Babich and Sean McDermott defense and become a really good player. I think he's going to be one of the starters more toward the line of scrimmage, more of that late career Jordan Poyer role, where to me, the one that I'm going to be watching outside of Taylor Rapp is Derek Forrest in that free safety role.
Chris, Danger and I have this debate, and this isn't about rookies or any newcomers. I think there's actually two veterans on this team that are going to be vying for playing time. And where I come down on this is I think Matt Milano will be given every benefit of the doubt for Sean McDermott. And I actually side on Matt Milano. As long as Matt Milano can still, show and maybe he'll be fully healthy and we'll all be watching him closely. Or do you come down on the side that, hey, maybe this is better for this defense, that this should be Dorian Williams' time to shine? After all, Dorian Williams was the leading tackler on the team last year.
Yeah. That is a fantastic question. And for as much as it has been so fun watching Matt Milano go from this obscure fifth rounder who kind of played in a weird, overhang linebacker role at Boston College, and now he's in his prime, was to me up there with Bobby Wagner and Fred Warner as the two best in space coverage blitzing splash play linebackers in the NFL. I personally at this point don't believe that Matt Milano should just be handed the starting job and whatever happens he should just play 17 games opposite Terrell Bernard. I think they need to have it be an open competition like they do for technically any other spot outside of quarterback, essentially, and let Dorian Williams, who's younger, who has fresher legs, who doesn't have a bunch of injuries on his resume, if he earns, whether it's through training camp or in the preseason or even early in the season in some sub packages, if he's making more plays, and I think he at this point actually can, I think he should be on the field a lot more than what he was once Matt Milano returned from injury last year. That's not to say that I think Milano should be cut or he's a surprise trade candidate, anything like that. But I think at this point, it's not, hey, when Milano's back, Dorian Williams needs to be on the sideline. I think they have to really make an honest assessment at that position. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if the younger, probably at this point, speedier Dorian Williams entering year 3 in this defense can actually trigger just as fast and has a little bit more juice to the football and can still make some plays in coverage too.
It wouldn't be the first time that the Bills have moved off of a veteran player or made a trade during the preseason. I'm curious if there are any players on this roster that exist right now, Chris, that you could see the Bills maybe shopping around here during the preseason for teams that might need, I don't know, wide receiver or defensive lineman. But do you see Brandon Beane making any sort of moves to maybe free up some cap space here as they get ready for Week 1?
Well, I just said that I don't think that they would trade Matt Milano, but if Dorian Williams is having an amazing camp and teams, there's injuries at starting linebacker positions around the NFL, I don't think we can completely rule out that the Bills would maybe shop him, because that has been kind of a low-key trademark of the Brandon Beane era, that he has made those mid to late August trades to get back extra picks later in future drafts when he's had kind of too loaded of a roster. There's too much depth. So I think actually I'm going to go back on what I said in the last answer and say Milano would be on there. I think A.J. Epinesa, if Landon Jackson is further ahead than I think he is a prime trade candidate. And Curtis Samuel, we don't know who that wide receiver 4 is going to be at this point. And if Elijah Moore and Josh Palmer are just really good and have that rapport with Josh Allen early and are making plays underneath at the intermediate level and even down the field, then I just don't know if there will be enough targets in this offense if you factor in, the Bills hoping to get more out of Dalton Kincaid, how much they like to use the running backs in the pass game. They bring back Ty Johnson. We know that what James Cook can do there. To have someone making as much money as Curtis Samuel is, he's averaging around $8 million a year, still on this roster. So those 3, to me, would be the potential trade candidates to not be super surprised if we're in that second or third preseason game and we are checking our phones and the Bills ultimately make one of those moves, because we've seen Brandon Beane do it a lot in his tenure in Buffalo.
Chris, it's always fun when you start camp and you're just watching, and some of these, not even draft, the undrafted free agents, the UDFAs, and these are guys that we'll see a lot in the preseason once we get to that portion of the season. Which guys are you keeping an eye on that you think actually may have a chance to, crack the 53, and if not, the practice squad here?
I'm really excited about Wande Owens. He was a safety, kind of a safety linebacker, slot corner, and if that's a position that the Bills are like, we need some more depth there, Owens to me is the most exciting UDFA because he tested like an elite level athlete. He had like a 43.5-inch vertical, ran like right around 4.5, had a 3-cone under 7 seconds. So the agility and the explosiveness is there. And he was just all around the football in the Ivy League. And then in his last season, he transferred to New Hampshire, and none of that production fell off. Like he was over 100 tackles, made plays in coverage, immense speed on film to the football. Now, again, lower level of competition, but he is truly like, I know every team says that they love versatility, but it really feels like McDermott and Bobby Babich very much prioritize that, especially on the back end. So Owens played linebacker, he played safety, like deep safety, and he played in the slot. So if whether the Bills just want more depth there or they want to just have someone in case Taron Johnson gets dinged and they need someone else opposite Cam Lewis to kind of rotate at that slot defender role, Wande Owens from New Hampshire is the one that I think has the athleticism and the smarts to pick up the defense pretty quickly and make a name for himself, maybe on Hard Knocks. Maybe we'll start to see him as that folk hero that we're all rooting for to make the team when we're watching HBO's Hard Knocks.
All right, so you're talking Hard Knocks. You know that one of the storylines that they're going to be following here, and it's one of the things we've been talking about all offseason, what are they doing with James Cook? Less evaluation here, more speculation by you, Chris. What do you think happens with Cook when they show up to the practice field tomorrow? Do you think he's out there practicing? Do you think he's a hold in? And ultimately, do you think Cook is a Buffalo Bill this time next year?
Okay, so I think he will practice because this is what to me. I mean, this is what only makes sense to me, that all of these signings, Shakir, Rousseau, going back even more, like Milano signing multiple deals, obviously Benford, the Bills have set this culture on the financial side of like, stay here. Maybe you're taking a little bit less to stay, but you're going to be on a team that's going to be on primetime a lot. You're going to be in the thick of the things in the AFC. Now you're on Hard Knocks. Like to go somewhere else to just maximize your dollar. I get that, but I think the Bills have done enough with other players to prove that they're not like the Cincinnati Bengals, or they're not driving such a hard bargain or offering such low amount of money that a player would be upset about it or feel disrespected. So I think ultimately, for as much as Brandon Beane has used a lot of draft picks on running backs, I do think James Cook will ultimately be on the Bills next season. I wouldn't do that. I would say just draft another running back. I think for $3 or $4 million under what James Cook wants, which is what we only know is around $16 million per year, I think a 2 or 3 year deal for somewhere between $11 and $14 million, just because we've seen so many of these players, Brandon Beane and agents of those players have come to terms on these deals. And it seems like the players are happy to ultimately take it to stay in Buffalo because of the winning culture that he and Sean McDermott have established over the last 5 or 6 years.
Chris, tell everybody about Trap Sheet, how often it comes out, and you mentioned all this unique content that we might be able to get here.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to write at least an article every Monday and Wednesday. Subscribers are free now. I've written on the Cleveland Browns' involvement in the whole NFLPA labor relations saga. I wrote on the Raiders. It was really unique what they've done to bring in. They're actually the first team to start, if they ultimately start week 1, with a new GM, new head coach, new quarterback, and a first-round running back in post-merger history. So they're totally revamped in the Chiefs division. I think they're going to be a much better team. And actually tomorrow, it's the perfect plug. Tomorrow I'm writing about the missing piece of the Bills offense. It's probably not what you think, but I did some research. I'm going to be doing a lot of deep dives and weave that into analysis and opinion that I have. What I think is the missing piece to the Bills offense, I think some of what I found will surprise you, and I'm hoping that my argument can persuade you to thinking the same way as I do about what this Bills offense needs to maybe prioritize this season.
Trapasso's got it all, man. He just writes about football.
He knows how to
the
do
Trap Sheet on Substack. And on top of it all, dude's like sharing his swing on TikTok. His golf game is
I know.
impeccable right now. It's like, Chris, you're making us feel, mortal here. You're absolutely immortal with the work you're doing, and that golf swing's looking pretty good this season too, bud.
I appreciate it. What do we think? Like, are we going to get Josh Allen and Brandon Bean on Hard Knocks at Oak Hill, you think?
Well, that would have happened, from what we hear, that would have happened this last weekend. We know that Hard Knocks was unloading their gear late last week, right?
Yeah, and we heard
Okay.
Josh was on the track on Sunday.
Yeah. So if Allen and Bean were out there on Sunday, then Hard Knocks was here a little bit before them. I imagine that there will be some footage of Allen and Bean at Hard Knocks at Oak
Yeah,
Hill
I
as
got to
well.
just say, as a 5'8" myself, I'm excited to get like the inside view of the Bills on Hard Knocks, but I'm so excited to have Rochester be highlighted. Like, I'm so excited to see what off the field stuff they show, especially Pittsburgh is so beautiful. Rochester's awesome. I'm like as excited for that part of it. And yes, for the golf side of it as well, because just it's going to be cool to see Rochester on the national stage.
Chris, can't wait. Always appreciate your work here and love hearing you on with when you're filling in for Brownie and Tasker. Let's do this again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
You got it. There he is, Chris Passo. Check out the Trap Sheet. It's on Substack. You get all his work there. He does a great job covering the NFL, covering the NFL draft, and, of course, being in the 585, taking care of those Buffalo Bills stories as well.
Wait, you're watching this this Euro game here. England just tied this
it got your attention.
The tied in mystery time. This game, every time I tune up, like they're clubbing each other.
Yeah.
I didn't know women's soccer was just so physical.
Women's soccer.
They're tackling each other. Like, it's like
Women's soccer can be fun, man. I'm
yeah,
telling you, they go at it, and for as pretty as the Italian goal was, for England to even it up here, to be all square in stoppage time, we'll see how this one ends up. But you know what? I knew that this was happening. This is the Euros semifinal, right?
Yeah,
the Euros women's semifinal. And, a peek behind the curtain here in the sports bar. We've got the monitor on the 4-letter pretty much all day. And I don't know. I mean, sometimes I just want to see something different than the talking heads going back and forth, regurgitating the same topic over and over again.
Wow, what are they talking about? Oh, the Cowboys camp.
Give
Let's
me some
go
live
over
action.
that.
Give me, and even if it's women's soccer from the Euros, I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a good game because there's a lot to play for these two countries between Italy and England just equalizing in stoppage time here.
Not to steal any thunder from Chris, though, but like when he's teasing what is the missing element of this Bills offense, is he talking about like a over the top? Because you could say that like they didn't really take much deep shots, but you know what? It all kind of worked well last year throwing underneath. So do they really need the guy going down the field? It's exciting. Maybe it'll loosen things up. I will read Chris's piece to reserve judgment on that.
That is what we call in the industry a compelling tease.
Yeah.
From Chris Trapasso, and a reason for you to check out the Trap Sheet and the work that he's doing there. Happy Hour is next. Gino, we've got one more hour before we are officially live from Buffalo Bills training camp tomorrow starting at 3. Can't wait. St. John Fisher University, the team reporting today. Practices get underway tomorrow morning. We'll be reporting on all of it, and you can let us be your ears and eyes for Buffalo Bills training camp. We'll get to the news of the day, including a Bills rookie coming off the PUP list, and the news that everybody was waiting for the day before the start of training camp. It's our own version of hot uniform talk. The red helmet is back.
It is not the way you would think. Usually you're putting this in a certain place in the calendar so we can discuss that, what the Bills are going to be doing here.
Stand by for happy hour and get in if you want to pull up a stool. The number is 866-4FAN, 866-4326.
bringing back the red helmets. Chris Brown explains.
The Bills will wear their red helmets for the Week 18 game against the Jets to celebrate the final regular season game at Highmark Stadium, allowing fans a chance to relive the nostalgia before Buffalo opens new Highmark Stadium next year. What a way to send it off with the red helmets.
The Bills will also be wearing the throwback uniforms, the standing Buffalo helmets from the 1960s. These will be worn for the Falcon and the Buccaneer games. A report from Tom Pelissero stating that James Cook will be at Fisher, although it remains to be seen how much involved he will be. He's seeking a new contract. Red Wings tonight will be appearing as the Coco Locos as they take on Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Anticipation is building. The Bills are reporting to St. John Fisher University, and it is happy hour in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us at 95.7 FM at AM 950, the Fan Rochester, and the free-to-download Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps. You can also watch the stream as we stream live every afternoon from 3 until 6 on our YouTube channel and on Twitch at the Fan Rochester. Like and subscribe while you're there. Gino, it's almost here, buddy.
It's almost here. The Bills bring back the red helmet.
Big.
That's going to get everybody. Like, now, what does Josh Allen do now, like, for the return, the scrimmage coming up next Friday? Usually it comes out and people are like, is he going to wear the red helmet? Well, now it's
now
like,
what are you going to wear?
We're going to wear. We got what we wanted.
Did he do blue chrome one year? I feel like he did blue chrome one year.
Did the black helmet last year.
Maybe that's where we see the white helmet with the gray and silver Bills logo.
Yeah, that's a big oops, whoever reported that the red helmets would not be returning. That's I
think it was a plant. I think it was done. I think it was all done strategically, because if you watch the Bills release video of the red helmets, one of the things you see in there is a montage of updates on X and Facebook of people saying, bring back the red helmets. I can't believe they better be the red helmets, red helmets. It's like outrage over not bringing back the red helmets. It's like, no, we were listening to you. We did hear what you wanted.
They trolled you.
And the Bills trolled you.
Yeah, they did.
And they used the media to make you believe that they weren't going to happen when they actually are going to return. Now, albeit, chances are it might be Mike White wearing the Buffalo Bills red helmet in Week 18 in a game against his former team, the New York Jets, because the hope is at the end of the season that the Bills have something secured and it's a meaningless game like it was last year against the Patriots. But that will be when we see the return of the 90s era, the Jim Kelly era Buffalo Bills red helmet, the final regular season game at Highmark Stadium.
How do they send that stadium off? And you hope that's not the last game ever, right? Like, if that is the case, then something has gone horribly wrong if the Bills don't win the division. So, but they have to do this Week 18 just to make sure, and then you would get an encore, you would hope, or two for the postseason. They're also going to, as we mentioned, have a throwback this year, and I kind of like the standing Buffalo. I like the jerseys going back with the different striping. It's actually a different color blue. Sounds like they're going to have the white roads from that era of Bills football, and then maybe I would assume go with the Royal coming up when the Buccaneers come up in November.
All right, so there you go. Your news for the Buffalo Bills today about their get-ups and about the merch that you love to gobble up. It'll be the Red Helmets Week 18, the Standing Buffalo Throwbacks Week 6 and Week 11, and now to more pressing items on the field, or maybe not on the field.
Well, I always, like, what we try to do is where is this coming from? Whose agenda is this? Why is this being put out now? And when we last heard from James Cook, that was at minicamp, and he said he would be at St. John Fisher University, and that, it didn't say much more than that. Well, this is from Tom Pelissero today saying that, it's just very vague, this report that, yeah, Cook will be there, but to what extent will he participate remains unknown. Just seems to me that this is the agent, again, trying to stir up S out there. And at this point, why bother? What is to be gained here if you're James Cook? You have, let's count it down here. August, September, October, November, January, 6 months. If you want to count the 7th, you will be a free man to go sign wherever you want. And you know how you can make more money? Well, then you could even ball out more than you did last year. So to me, hold in doesn't provide much, although you brought up something interesting. That could be a tactic if he really wants to stay in Buffalo. I don't get the sense he wants to stay here, though.
I agree. I don't get the sense that he wants to stay in Buffalo, but I do think if he were to hold in, that would put pressure on Buffalo because he wants to stay in Buffalo. And let's face it, I mean, the guys that have signed on with the Bills have probably signed here. Let's use Greg Rousseau as an example. For less money, knowing I might not get the chance to play for a contender if I go somewhere else, if I go chase the dollar. Now, I get the sense from James Cook that while he's going to say that winning is important, he's going to say he wants to win a Super Bowl, that money is still the driving factor here. I mean, he said as much during minicamp. Why are you at minicamp?
Oh, yeah,
I like money. I like my money. So James Cook is going to get his while he can, and I can't fault the guy who plays that position knowing how tough it is for them to get theirs when they have the opportunity. He's coming off an unbelievable season, and now he has to replicate that success and that production for another team to see him for as valuable as he believes he is. I don't see Brandon Beane caving here. If the hold-in happens, I agree with what Trapasso said. I feel like it's a function of them being closer than we might think. Like, I don't get the sense that they're close at all. Like, I have a feeling that the Bills are offering him somewhere in the neighborhood of less than $10 million a year. But if you could get, was it Trapasso or Perino? My guests are getting blurred, but I don't know if it was Trapasso or Perino who mentioned if you can get the Bills to 11, 12 million, and maybe they're not as far apart, they're only off by a couple of million, maybe a hold-in does make sense because it sends the message that I want to be here. Let's get this done so I can get back on the practice field.
Yeah, I just think that at this point, you're not going to get what you want. I think it's also kind of noteworthy that Brandon Beane is going to talk to the media tomorrow in a press conference setting. Now, I don't recall him doing this. Somebody could correct me if I'm wrong every year, opening day, but this might be the way to kind of address it right out of the get-go. And they will carry that tomorrow on One Bills Live. We will carry the highlights of it on our show tomorrow. And do we expect Brandon Beane to say anything different? I don't think so. Like, you know, is the door open, Danger, for James Cook getting a long-term deal?
I want to believe that it is because he's really good. He's a really good player, and he makes this team better. You could say that Ray Davis is very good as well, and I'll listen to that. James Cook is shown through his production that he's a top back in the NFL. He's top 5 back? Top 5 back, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he wants to get paid like that. And if the Bills don't put that value on the position that he plays, then he will go elsewhere. And you know, there's something to be said for a player who, you know, we all love Western New York. We love Buffalo. We get this quality of life that we have here. James Cook is a Florida guy. He might not be into it. He might not be into winters. He might want to go someplace where, you know, his dollar goes farther. I'm just going to throw that out there as well.
Well, I would think the weather might be like number one on the list.
Yeah.
You know, just like, this is not for me. And anybody that thinks, oh, you can replace that production, just go back and watch James Cook highlights from last year. 3 touchdowns week 2, where James literally is cooking Jordan Poyer, blows right by him. How about the Detroit game? Runs right by everybody. He has speed at that position unlike anybody in this league. Mm-hmm. Like, he can just separate and gone. And 16 touchdowns last year, Danger, that is not going to be easy to replace.
Yeah, I agree. And, well, it'll be interesting to see what his tactic is and what exactly James Cook decides to do as he and the rest of the team report to St. John Fisher University. You mentioned it, Gino. Brandon Beane will be speaking with the media tomorrow. We'll hear from Sean McDermott tomorrow. It is the team's first practice, and we will be on site at St. John Fisher University for all of it, sharing our findings and recapping a hectic day, as every day at St. John Fisher feels like there's a lot going on, lots to report on, and we'll be doing our best to be your ears and eyes at Buffalo Bills training camp every weekday afternoon here in the Sports Bar.
We invite you to join us, Bills fans. 866-4FAN, 866-4326, whether it's the Red Helmets, whether it's James Cook. Jim from Webster has a unique take. Hey, Jim, what's going on, bud?
Hey, just real quick, you guys kind of think that Cook's a top 5 back. I wonder if he'd be a top 5 back if you didn't have the Josh Allen factor that teams have to kind of place Allen first, then Cook, maybe, some of the time.
Yeah, I would also give credit to the offensive line of the Buffalo Bills more than anything, right? Like, you might not have a line like that to run behind if you go somewhere else in free agency, but Jim, I think for Cook, it might be, he'll say it's about winning. He'll say it's about, trying to win a championship for Buffalo. He's saying all the right things. He's going to say all the right things, but ultimately, get your money while you can get your money. It's important to him.
I get his point, though. Like, and Jim, thanks for the call. Like, that's the counterpoint. Like, put anybody behind. And when you look at rookie rushers last year, number 1 on the list, Bucky Irving. You want Bucky Irving on your fantasy team this year. He's going to go high. Number 2, the guy from the Giants. But then number 3 was Ray Davis in a supporting role. And Ray Davis, you're like, whoa, if you gave him more carries and different style, different skill set, Ray Davis easily could get to 1,000 yards for this Buffalo Bills team.
Wonder how much work he put into the offseason and what he'll look like here in year 2 as a Buffalo Bill. And we already know what Ty Johnson is. He's just a really good third down back, great in pass blocking, and also great in the passing game for Josh Allen. Made some unbelievable plays. So your assessment of the Bills running back, I think you've called them the best three-headed monster in the NFL.
If it's not, point out who is. You could say, oh, maybe Tampa. I'm like, no, it's Buffalo. And the reason is they complement each other so well. And really the thing is, James Cook going to upset that this year? I thought he said he would be here. Said he would be on. I think this is, what I think this is today, Danger? I think it's agent nonsense. I think this is, and we pointed this out, the representation, this is somebody that is green, doesn't know, shouldn't be doing this in front of the media, and you didn't get what you like, but these tactics don't work necessarily.
Well, not against Brandon Beane. He's shown time and time again. He's either going to get it done or he's not, and he has no problem moving on if he needs to. There's other news around the Buffalo Bills from today as well, from just a few days ago when Landon Jackson, rookie defensive end, was placed on the physically unable to perform list for undisclosed reasons. He has been activated from the PUP list, and he's ready to go when camp opens up tomorrow. We also won't have, as of right now, a punt battle to monitor. Jake Camarda was released by the Buffalo Bills. Brad Robbins, now the only punter currently on the 90-man roster. And I know it's not sexy, but, let's watch Robbins as the new holder now for Tyler Bass, and if that helps or hurts Tyler Bass's production.
Why now? Like, you just decided this now? Curious.
Yeah, interesting, right?
Yeah.
A couple of wide receivers added to the mix as well, or a couple of pass catchers, I should say, with wide receiver David White, tight end Matt Sokol signed to the 90-man roster. They are set. They are reporting. They will be on the field tomorrow at St. John Fisher.
And they will churn the bottom of this 90-man roster over and over and over again. These won't be the last moves that the Bills will make. What I'm curious, the first thing out of the gate tomorrow, Danger, I want to know who's healthy and who's not. Because when we last saw the Buffalo Bills minicamp, there's Maxwell Harrison, first pick. And now, okay, is that a tweak? It's something soft tissue? Okay, that's somebody you're counting on. And again, we haven't heard anything otherwise. Joey Bosa. Now, do we need Joey Bosa out there on July 23rd? No, you need him in January, but I think there's a ceiling with him. I would like him more than just down the stretch being a pass-rush guy. I want him actually starting and making plays and being the guy that he was years ago with the Chargers.
Doesn't it feel like that's the culture that's been built here? It's like you need to be on the field.
Yeah.
Like, your injuries are your injuries, but you need to be on the field. If you want to be a part of this team and part of the culture that's been built, get on the field. Get on the field no matter what. and work through your injuries as you need to, but get on the field as soon as you can. And I would imagine if Bosa's injury from the OTAs is going to hold him up here at the beginning of camp, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I want to see him out there day one of camp. I want to see Hairston out there day one of camp. I want to hear Sean McDermott say, everybody's healthy, we're good to go.
Yeah, and then inevitably, like day 2, day 3, whenever it is, we'll get
There will be injuries.
Yeah, you'll get guys that need a rest day. For if it's hockey, we call it a maintenance day, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. One former Buffalo Bill did find a new home as we learned that Nyheim Hines has agreed to sign with the Los Angeles Chargers. Nyheim Hines hasn't played since that jet ski accident that happened in the summer of 2023 when he was still with the Buffalo Bills. He signed with the Browns last year. He never came off the non-football injury list while he was in Cleveland. He will try to give it another go now with the Chargers.
There is another former Buffalo Bill made a visit last night, and as of right now hasn't signed. Miami bringing in Rasul Douglas.
Oh,
so
no kidding.
Rasul Douglas, I think
Forgot about him.
Well, when they traded, when we talk about great Brandon Beane midseason deadline deals, things that never happened 10 years ago. And look, Amari Cooper didn't deliver what you were hoping, but he scored a touchdown in the Titans game, had one of the highlight plays in that Niner game. Amari Cooper was fine. But Rasul Douglas actually fixed a problem that one year. I thought he was perfect in that Bills defense. And then last year it wasn't the same. And I will credit Brandon Beane and his staff for saying, you're a free agent. Maybe we're going to try something different. Rasul Douglas going down to Miami, if this does happen, I'm not,
who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Mike Francesa can say that better than I can.
One other note, as training camps are opening across the league here, one star player not reporting to camp for his team would be the guy that led the league in sacks just last season. The Bengals are going to be without Trey Hendrickson, who posted a picture to his Instagram from Florida this morning, confirming to ESPN that he's not joining the Bengals at training camp. He's been, negotiating a new contract.
Well, this is the Bengals being cheap. Here's why. They're not going to give him any guaranteed money beyond year one. Like, okay, yeah, we'll give you more and we'll just kind of extend it by a year. No.
It's insane.
No. So, like, my stats are comparable to TJ Watt. This is where the market is at. Or my stats are comparable, probably better than Max Crosby. Give me something in line.
Yeah.
No, we're only going to give you 1 year.
Yeah, Max Crosby, I think, is the ballpark where Hendrickson is going to be playing. I think the Bengals can't afford to pay him, TJ Watt or Myles Garrett money. But you get him somewhere in the ballpark of Max Crosby, you give him the guarantees for more than 1 year, and maybe you have him at some point this summer. Every day that he misses training camp, $50,000 fine.
All right, $50,000 fine times 10 times 20. Okay, that can add up.
It adds up.
Yeah, that can be a cool mill.
It adds up. Again, remember this about the Bengals, and many around the team have said this about Cincinnati, that the Bengals are more concerned about winning the negotiation than they are about winning football games. And they're without their first-round draft pick, and they're without their best player on defense as they head into camp. Way to go, Cincinnati.
Could you get Trey Hendrickson? I don't even know the Bengals would take the phone call.
Yeah, right. Right. What are they doing? Just what are they doing? That is the Bengals. We got to get to a round of shots here. We've had a fun show this afternoon, our last show in studio before we take the show on the road and head up St. John Fisher University for Bills training camp starting tomorrow. If you missed Chris Trapasso of The Trap Sheet on Substack, if you missed Matt Perino of Syracuse.com, some great Buffalo Bills conversations to be had earlier today, and we've got those available for you wherever you get your shows. That includes Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just search out the Sports Bar, and you'll find our guest appearances listed there.
Interesting appearance tomorrow night. A major leaguer coming down. I will tell you who as the Red Wings begin a homestand tonight. We've got one of these streaming shows that's going to be a sports-related one that's coming back for another year. We'll tell you about that. And we've got me-bounds and more, Danger.
Oh, good. We're going to talk about the WNBA. I can't wait. We'll get to a round of shots. We have time for your calls. Last call before we close up shop at 6. You can have the final word in the Sports Bar at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. On 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan. update.
Some breaking news here on the Sports Bar as the Buffalo Bills, checking out the transaction wire, placed tight end Dawson Knox on non-football injury. This on the eve of training camp. Also going on PUP, right tackle Spencer Brown and backup offensive lineman Cedric Van Pran Granger. Many Bills fans pleased to learn the Bills are bringing back the alternate red helmets. They'll be worn the final regular season game at Highmark. Chris Brown today pointing out there's also more.
And the AFL throwback uniforms are also making a return in the final season in Highmark Stadium. They will be worn Week 5 at Atlanta, Week 11 against Tampa Bay here at Highmark with the white standing red Buffalo helmets.
The Red Wings tonight will be the Coco Locos as they entertain Scranton. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
Rochester's home for live sports and the best sports talk anywhere. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
See, it all makes sense. You signed a tight end and Matt Sokol because you need a tight end to take care of Dawson Knox, who's on the NFI list to start training camp. That's less than ideal.
Well, that's mysterious, right? So what happened between the end of minicamp in June and now that Dawson Knox isn't ready to go? It could be nothing, but as you mentioned, they brought in this tight end we never heard of. Spencer Brown's concerning, right? Like starting on PUP. Spencer Brown a couple years ago, just because he's so big and you normally don't see offensive linemen that big. So I hope that's nothing too.
Here's what I'm curious about. What qualifies as somebody being physically unable to perform? Because that feels very gray, like a wide range of maladies could prevent somebody from being physically unable to perform. Is it as simple as, hey, you came in a few pounds overweight? Or you actually did tweak something while you were training, or there's so many things that go into that I'm curious about.
In NFI, you can put somebody there if you're training on your own. And somebody correct me if I'm wrong on this, but if you're training on your own and outside of the team facility, and you hurt, okay, that's non-football injury.
Yes.
So that's also kind of a nuanced thing too when it comes to these lists.
Or if you have a firework blow up in your face, that'll put you on NFI as well.
Yeah, that would be the extreme example for sure. I don't think Dawson Knox was playing with fireworks.
We didn't hear of anything. I mean, we'll check his digits, make sure he's got all 10. But yeah, I think he's probably. Well, let's hope he's okay, and that we do get to see him on the field at some point here this summer.
Yankee shortstop Anthony Volpe now tied for the league lead in errors, 12 now.
Is that bad?
Not great, Bob. His error Monday night didn't help in a 4-1 loss to the Jays. New York.
Gee, Battaglia.
Not great, Bob.
Oh, boy.
New York now 0-5 at Rogers Center this season. Also not great. The Jays are up 4 on the Yankees in the division. Max Scherzer, who's going to turn 41 this Sunday. Scherzer starts for Toronto tonight. How much does he have left in the tank? Can you imagine, though, if he has something here and Toronto ends up being this magical team? They got the look of it. The Yankees going with rookie Cam Schlitter tonight.
No, I was watching. Last night was an elite summer night in Grillton, in East Hilton, the Garage Mahal. I mean, perfect night. Had the Cubs game on. I flipped to the Yankees, watched the Yankees for an hour, flipped over to the Cubs game, watched the buffoon in the outfield fall into the basket drunk, trying to catch a home run ball. Fantastic. The Cubs bullpen game, and they blow it in the second half of that game against the Royals. But finding out today, the Royals have called up Rich Hill, 45?
Dick Hill, or Dick Mountain as he's kind of nicknamed. Rich Hill back in the majors. The Royals calling him up. He's going to start tonight against the Cubs.
45!
He'll will tie a major league record when he appears tonight because the Royals will be his 14th different franchise he's played for. The other guy, this trivia question you'll never go, Edwin Jackson. Who I know he pitched a no-hitter for the Rays. That's about it. Edwin Jackson also with 14. As far as Rich Hill, 45. He was with the Red Sox last year, the Pirates the year before. Yeah. And as we mentioned, his teammates call him Dick Mountain.
Look, I know the Mets got a win last night, but they were farting around against the Angels.
Oh, don't relax. Like, you're down 4-0. It's the Angels.
I know. I know, but you're farting around, right? Yeah. You give up a lead. The Cubs need to stop farting around here. If you can't beat a 45-year-old tonight at Wrigley, against the Royals. Come on.
Funny thing is, when it was out in Kansas City, they're losing their minds about this. Like, they think, okay, we're on the edge of the wild card. Wait, this is the solution?
Come on, guys.
We're signing this guy?
Come on, guys.
We can't do anything better?
Come on, guys. 45-year-old out there.
Meanwhile, there might be some hope here for the Yankees. Back to the Yankees. Is the 2024 AL Rookie of the Year is going to be making a rehab start tomorrow night in Rochester.
Right.
Luis Gil went 15-7 last year with a 3.50 ERA, had 171 strikeouts. Gil showed up to spring training and all of a sudden had a lat strain, and we didn't hear from him. He had a rehab start, pitched 3 innings down in Double-A. Reportedly, Gil's pitch count tomorrow night, if you're heading out, will be set at 65.
All right, so that's big. Yankee fans will get the chance to see the reigning Rookie of the Year here in Rochester. But just heed what we said yesterday with GM Dan Mason. Look, you're in Rochester. It's okay. You can be a Yankees fan and go watch Gil and hope that Gil has a good outing, but you're not rooting for Scranton. You're from Rochester.
No, you can scout your guys.
Yes.
It was cool when Garrett Cole showed up last year. But then when Cole exits, a lot of people exit too. I'm like, come on, this is a great game. It's a beautiful night here. What are you doing?
Right.
There's a bigger game here. Like,
that's right.
Yeah, so I'm going tonight, Danger. And I'm wearing Wings gear. They're not the Wings tonight. They're going to be the Coco
Locos, yeah.
Yeah, the Coco Loco night.
Yeah, well, if you want, I have the shirt from earlier this year that I got for Coco Loco night earlier this year, the Hawaiian shirt that's decked out in Coco Loco gear.
There you go.
Yeah, for the person who wants to support the Coco Locos when they play as their alter ego.
The TV ratings for the WNBA All-Star Game down 36%.
Not great, Bob.
Year. And look, tell me it's not about Caitlin Clark. Last year, the All-Star Game had Clark and WNBA All-Stars going against the U.S. Olympic team. Remember, Clark wasn't named to the U.S. Olympic team last year.
Yeah. Well, they manufactured a dramatic setting for the All-Star Game last year. And that rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
That was, that makes sense.
And so this year, Clark isn't playing. Okay.
And you're also, I mean, you're not comparing apples to apples, but it is still worthy of note that when she's not playing and she's not a part of the conversation, there are going to be less eyeballs on your product. But let's continue to tear her down and talk about how she's a problem.
The Kelsey Plum quote, where she was just not to be tattling.
Just stupid. Just completely tone deaf. Completely tone deaf. You need a Caitlin Clark on at least half of the teams in your league for it to be viable. Just completely out of touch.
Season 4 of Ted Lasso has begun filming. I don't know if this is one that you've watched or you're adding it to the list.
It's on the list. Can I tell you my Ted Lasso saga?
Wait. Is it on your real list or your list?
Let me tell you my intentions, and then you'll be disappointed in me. My intentions were...
I'm always disappointed.
I know.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. When you remember my iPhone saga when I had to go get a new iPhone, I missed a day of work, which I still can't believe. Like, I spent the entire day.
Really,
the entire day was spent at the Apple store trying to replace my bricked old iPhone.
Where's Mike Danger today, folks? Well, he's stuck at the Apple store. Welcome to the sports.
Yeah. Embarrassing day for me for sure. But with that comes the perk of knowing that you have these offers. Oh, you get 3 months of Apple TV for free. Trial period, whatever it is. So before, I didn't activate it immediately, but right before we went on our vacation, I activated it. And there happened to be a ball game on that night that was on Apple TV that I wanted to see as well. So I watched the game on Apple TV, and I thought to myself, you know what? This will be my opportunity. I can watch Ted Lasso now on my phone. If we're flying to Europe, to Spain, to Italy, I'll get caught up and I'll binge watch while I'm on vacation. I didn't binge watch while I was on vacation.
Well, part of it was your Wi-Fi was a little meh, right?
I didn't have Wi-Fi.
Okay, then
for most of the trip, and I read more books than watched any TV.
Danger. I read books now.
Yeah,
in my old age.
Hey, when I start showing up in suits, you can make fun of me, all right, pal? But yeah, I'm going to read a book every now and then. It was nice.
All right, well, let me tell for everybody else, Mike Danger will eventually catch up to us. Season 4 has begun filming, and see, now I'm going to talk about stuff you have no idea what I'm talking about. Jason Sudeikis will be back as the lead character.
Yep.
Season 4 will actually open up. Okay, spoiler alert, Danger. Ted is back in Kansas. He's going to end up back in Richmond. Again, things you don't know I'm talking about. This time coaching his second division women's team, which brings a whole new set of characters, but supposedly many of the previous characters will still appear. A release date for Season 4 has yet to be announced.
I'm powering through Season 4 of The Bear at present. I'm I want to say 4 episodes in, so I've got a ways to go here with Season 4. I haven't binged that all the way through, but that's the one that right now has my undivided attention outside of the world of sports.
Okay. You're showing great discipline. So as far as like not binging or whatever.
I need sleep, man. You mentioned it. I'm old. I can't do it anymore. I mean, there was a day, Breaking Bad and Mad Men, I binged those 2 series on Netflix, staying up until 3 a.m, just unable to shut down, unable to turn off the TV because I was so gripped and so moved by them, and I couldn't, and I'd suffer the next day, but I would power through it because I still had some youthful vitality. I don't have it now.
No.
I'm tired, man. I'm old. I'm tired. I'm cranky. Get me. I'll watch when I can watch it. Next case.
Danger, finally back to the WNBA. You tipped me off to this. Angel Reese, well, when she misses a shot and grabs her own rebound, someone actually started tracking this stuff online, calling them me-bounds.
Yeah.
Well, Angel certainly has seen the trolling. She filed for the copyright of me-bounds.
Good for her.
None other than Angel Reese. Since the start of the 2024 season, or more accurately, since she entered the league, Reese has the most self-rebounds in the league with 77. Aaliyah Boston is next with 46.
It's not even close.
No. She may end up within a couple of years. Somebody went back and did literally self-rebounds. Somebody keeping track of this stuff.
It's crazy because when you see the highlights or lowlights, depending on how you view it, it'll be the easiest layup that you could imagine, and there's no defense. There's nobody around her. She'll miss the open layup, but she's right there to collect the me-bound and to put it back up again, to either score or to miss again. And this is the problem I have with the WNBA. More than anything, more than the bickering, I want to watch a quality product. That's why I like Caitlin Clark. She's good for the league because, when she's playing at a different level. She's hitting threes from the logo. She's a sharp, not so much this year, but there's just a different level of play. I want to be entertained by really spectacular play. And it's not a man versus woman thing. We were just watching the Women's World Cup, not Women's World Cup, the Women's Euros between Italy and England. It was a great game. And they were beating the hell out of each other. And there was a lot of skill. And I'll watch that. That's an entertaining product to me.
Well, the growing pains of the WNBA, and I think it's actually a mistake that they are taking all these expansion teams and kind of like one step at a time. Like we're going to, you're going to blink here and this league is going to be the size of the NBA. And what is the talent going to be like at this point? The thing is, what does women's basketball look 18 years from now? And why I'm saying 18 years, think of all girls watching this that want to start shooting around.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not out on it entirely. Like, I want it to be successful. But, Angel Reese being the face of the league and leading it in me-bounds since she joined the league, that's not really an accomplishment. Like, make your shots. Hit your free throws. Just a wide open layup and you're going to miss. I'm not interested in watching you lead the league in me-bounds. That's not really what I tune into sports for.
We got another one that came across the wire. Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry, not at camp.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's looking for the new deal as well.
$50,000 a year, so $50,000 a day.
So if you are just joining us here as Happy Hour continues, we do have a little bit of clarity here as the Bills are reporting to St. John Fisher. We've got Dawson Knox starting camp on the non-football injury list, and we've got offensive lineman Spencer Brown and Cedric Van Pran Granger on the physically unable to perform list to enter training camp.
So Chris writing in, with Dawson Knox being on non-football injury designation a short time ago, announcing he and his wife are expecting. Don't know. I don't think. No, that would be a personal excuse if Yeah, non-football injury can't be used for something like that for football reasons, I don't think.
I don't know. But
I don't know, yeah.
I mean, that would be a pretty significant out if he's about to have a kid and it just so happens to fall. I mean, I imagine that these guys are planning it out. Like most of them are like, we're not going to have a kid during the season. We have to make sure that the due date is sometime in the summer during the off time.
Does Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott, do they value taking looks at everybody in the 90-man roster, knowing that, okay, Dawson, say that is true, Chris, like, hey, he's not here because he and his wife are expecting. We're going to open up a roster spot by putting you over here just so we can look at this kid that we're going to cut in 3-4 days anyways.
Right.
I wouldn't put that past them.
No, I think they want to get as many looks as they can. We'll be ready tomorrow. Day one of Buffalo Bills training camp from St. John Fisher University. We go live at 3. We'll be giving you all of the sights and sounds, everything that goes on from the press conference of Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott, practice reports. We'll talk to some players. We'll get it all going tomorrow at 3. We'll set you up for that. Next, with Last Call, you can have the final word in the sports bar when you join us at 866-4326, 585-866-4FAN.
with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Day one of Buffalo Bills training camp tomorrow. What do we have in store? Well, we know that we're going to hear from Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane at some point tomorrow. We know that the team will practice for the first time this summer at St. John Fisher University. We know that we're going to be talking to the Hall of Famer, the Rochester sports icon, 13 Web Sports, Mike Catalano.
We will be talking to Mike, kind of get his, because, gosh, how many camps would this be for him, dating back to the days of Fredonia? And, is this going to be the year for the Buffalo Bills? And now we have some storylines entering day one. Danger, not knowing about the status of Dawson Knox, NFI. What's that all about? Spencer Brown ending up on PUP. Okay, what is that all about? Maybe there will be more before we get to practice. Things we'll learn. We'll talk to 13 Wham's Mike Catalana on the show tomorrow, and then you never know who might be stopping by, Danger. We're working on a ton of stuff this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So let us be your ears and eyes at Buffalo Bills training camp at St. John Fisher University. If you're one of the fortunate ones to be able to go to practice and you happen to see us out there, don't be a stranger. Say, hey, we'd love to communicate with you guys while you're there at Buffalo Bills training camp as well. It's always a fun atmosphere, a nice... it's the season of optimism, a season of hope. Everybody looks good. Everybody's going at full speed. It's just fun to have football back.
If you missed our show today and you want a primer, may I suggest Chris Trapasso in the 4 o'clock hour?
So good.
Because they're talking about the rookies and how they might have an impact and which guys might step up. He gave who his pick, which undrafted free agent might be the guy. If you missed it, Wande Owens, the safety from New Hampshire, is somebody who says, okay, he tested off the charts. From New Hampshire is going to be a little learning curve, but we'll see.
Even called his shot and said, hey, maybe that's a storyline that Hard Knocks picks up on. If they zero in on an undrafted guy looking to make the team, that might be a fun story. Also spoke earlier today to Matt Perino covering the Buffalo Bills for the Syracuse Post-Standard. Of course, he's hitting the dorms and getting ready for his coverage. You can read all his work at Syracuse.com, but we spent some time talking about James Cook and the report from Tom Pelissero that a hold-in is not entirely out of the question for James Cook, that there's still a lot of unresolved issues, and certainly he's looking for an extension that he hasn't gotten yet from the Buffalo Bills, and maybe the Bills are going to continue to wait this out, and James Cook doesn't actually get that extension with the Buffalo Bills, rather hits free agency at the end of this season after he has what you would hope would be a productive season. Both Matt Perino and Chris Trapasso, those conversations are available for you wherever you get your podcasts. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the free-to-download Odyssey app, and you can always stream the Sports Bar and the Fan Rochester in Odyssey, in iHeartRadio, in TuneIn, or watch the Sports Bar on our YouTube channel or on Twitch at the Fan Rochester. Like and subscribe while you are there. Gino, that'll about do it.
Do you realize we're not in studio until the 30th? We're out at Fisher every other week.
Hang on, let me think here.
Yeah,
let me look at the calendar. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week.
Monday, Tuesday next week.
Monday, Tuesday next week.
Yeah.
And that'll take us to, you said the 30th.
And we'll be back in studio.
Wow. And then we have Thursday at camp, and then Friday is the return of the Blitz.
Yeah.
Time moves fast. Time moves fast in the Sports Bar. We're ready for St. John Fisher College. St. John Fisher University, excuse me. Buffalo Bills training camp gets underway tomorrow. We will be here starting at 3 o'clock with all of the news and notes from practice number 1 for the Buffalo Bills. JR Sport Brief next. Have a great night. Talk to you tomorrow.